Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Good afternoon to all of you across the pond, domestic turf, doesn't matter, Call of Duty fans around the world. We thank you for joining us, and we apologize for the small technical difficulty. We had to make sure all the players were on the same script we were on today because we just kind of write how this goes. But at the end of the day, we got Call of Duty action for you, baby. Welcome back to the Call of Duty Challengers Elite Series. This is Season 3, this is Week 1, and this is Day 1, and I am joined by two of the most handsome and wonderful people on the planet, Fox and Allie. How you guys doing? Welcome back to some COD action.
Hey man, feeling good, feeling handsome, getting into this new game. I'm joined up by my two buddies, Allie and Space. It's good to see y'all again. I know recently we had a birthday of one of us three in this group. So Space, glad we got to say what's up to you and happy birthday on that day.
Don't know what you're talking about. So listen, there's a lot of Call of Duty on the line today, and man, I got to tell you, the qualifications for this season were not only incredibly tense, but talk about the different rosters that we have coming into this entire event. Now let's take a look at the groups themselves, because there are some old names that have been kicked out of the door, and there's some new names that we're saying hello to in both regions. And we're talking about all of the different pros coming down from the CDL, and they're getting relegated down to these lower teams. I mean, Fox, when you take a look at just some of the different names that have started to pop down here, I mean, most notably, I look at North America and I say Fantastic Four. You had a great run in the first showing in Season 2. They won Season 2 finals with Sib and Draza. Draza gets moved up to LAT, out of the equation, and now we bring in Slacked Methods. Slacked Methods, who, let's be honest, did not expect to see them down here. What are you thinking about these new rosters? But more importantly, as we get the groups up on screen, how are you seeing the difference in this season as more pros are dropping down and trying to fight for their careers down here in the Challengers?
I mean, it's really mixing things up. We're seeing a lot of different professional players in North America and as well as EU, which is what we'll be touching on quite a bit tonight. Shaking things up, adding some new organizations to competition in Season 3. And in Europe specifically, we're getting some new Spanish talent. I know that we're seeing Maverick come into the fray. Lots of different things to look out for in this region.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the EU groups. And Team War, I gotta tell you, the fact that they're now back as an organization and they're currently back inside of this group. Fox, talk to me a little bit about what it means for an organization like Team War to be back in Call of Duty, especially in Challengers, with so much story that has cultivated a following, a fan base, if you will, for this team.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've all gotten to follow so much of the Team War story on the Challengers broadcast here. Allie, I'm sure you have quite a bit to say about them as well. I mean, they've just given us some of the most exciting and contentious moments in this series, right?
No, yeah, definitely.
Oh, go ahead, Allie.
Sorry, Space.
No,
I know, it's like you called me handsome. I didn't even get to tell you thank you earlier, but I did want to talk about you being, the region that we look at NA, NA constantly switching rosters, right? Even when they find success, we see them switching out one or two players consistently. But the EU region, they've stuck together. A lot of these teams we've seen at least in one or two of these Elite Series, and we also, of course, are seeing new teams like Pushing coming in, and they're completely new names and new rosters. But that is definitely something I'm favoring on EU, is they really do tend to stick together and work out their kinks.
And I think it's also worth pointing out, and it is important to remember, that Pushing Gaming have finally made their way through that entire knockout gauntlet, and now they come into this season as our first fully Spanish team making it in, which again, just more credence to the region as a whole, and the fact that Latin America has continued to show that they can compete with the best of the best. But you look across the board at the teams that are going to be inside of this region. I mean, the fact that Team War again is back in competitive Call of Duty is massive for the Tier 2 scene. Orglis again will be Josh, Nasty, Harry, and Vortex. They won the Season 2 finals, and they will maintain their title under the Orglis nature. And Elevate, who also is coming back into the competitive Call of Duty. So we talk a lot about Team War. Allie, Elevate making their way back into the namesake in an organization that is synonymous with Call of Duty. And they pick up the former Passion team of Bids, Denza, Weeman, and Hixie, who placed second in Season 2 finals and also won the last open event, a team that's made incredible improvements over the past couple of weeks. What does it mean for Elevate to also be back in the fold for competitive Call of Duty?
I think it means a lot for us fans, especially, COD fans of Elevate, seeing an household name kind of come back into the COD scene. Not to mention, though, I mean, we talk about the org itself, but the players that they happen to pick up as well is one of the scariest teams in EU. So not only did they kind of come back into the scene, but they also are coming back with one of the best rosters going into EU.
Yeah, well, you're probably wondering what's our first matchup actually going to be today, because we want to get right into the action, and I can't blame you. It's going to be Obtain versus Team War, and here is the map layout. And finally, everybody, we get to see Express. I've been waiting for this day for so long. It's Raid up first, Express, Garrison for that big chunk in the middle, and then a necessary if we go Game 5 Miami S&D. Ali, talk to me about the map layout. What are you looking at across the board, and given these rosters, who you picking where?
Seeing Raid and Express as our first two maps is making me beyond happy, and I'm so excited to get into those maps especially. But I guess predictions, when I look at this layout and I look at both of these teams, Team War, they are such a good defensive team, but they've really been kind of slowing when it comes down in the S&D. They've been panicking still, and I haven't seen too much improvement there. So I feel like, if anything, this is definitely going to be a 3-1, 3-2 win series. I don't believe it'll be a sweep, but I think I'm favoring Obtained when we're going into this.
And Fox, you look at Team War's lineup, you got Metals and Lucky, of course, Journey, formerly FaZe Academy, last year, and the fact that this team is so dynamic. We talk about sub duos in Europe. A lot of times it comes down to Vortex and Nasty, but you look at Lucky and Metals and Invidian, who's had a standout as an AR. Talk to me about this kid and what you expect going into this series as we get ready for Game 1.
Invidian, terrifying player. I expect to see, especially the main sub and main AR players in this lobby on that side of the field for Team War, really light it up. Expect to see a lot out of Journey, one of the most excellent players that we've seen come out of Spain. Metals as well alongside him. Just a powerful combination of players we've gotten to see play in the Call of Duty League for years now. And hopping right to the action, we're looking at Circle, first hill of the game. Lots of back and forth as the Semtexes are coming out in favor for Obtain. They're able to find themselves two different kills. That's going to be Team War. As we also see Invidian taking point in top Laundry. But he still has to find the players and the objectives. Sitting just around the corner, of course, they're not giving him too much. However, the help comes in from Pillars, and that's the support they needed to really turn things around.
I think a huge win condition when it comes to Team War is they need Lucky and Invidian to start off hot. I feel like they're definitely one of those players that starts a little bit slower and then starts picking up near the end. And when you're playing at this caliber, I expect hopefully for both of them to start off hot, as they already are, as we're looking at Lucky's already 6-2 going into P2.
Yeah, I'm seeing him start off at 6-2, just now being taken off of the hardpoint Metals. Yet to find a kill for himself, but he does have quite a bit of hill time, as he is the main reason why his team has been able to double the score of Obtained up to this point. Lots of the pressure still coming in from Art side. See the newest addition to this roster, doubling back to find the support for him, as he's able to tag up two different players. But Journey gets away with his lives, and we see it once again. Metals comes through with the support. PD trying to stand his ground, but he is shut down by Lucky, and all the players swarming into Kitchen. The pressure's still on though. Most of the front is being mounted towards middle map. They have trophy system support. They have long range support. As soon as the AR player Lucky jumps out, he still has Journey for the 1-2 punch. It's still enough for the defense to hold it down for the first 30 seconds and mount nearly a minute lead in the first 2 minutes of this hard point. 25 seconds remain, so it's now a battle for scrap time.
Huge hold out of Team War, but now they should just start working on rotation. Once they kind of lost that control into that B2 hill, I would have liked to see them take that comfortable lead and kind of move it on over to Lambo side, because this could get serious. Of Obtained get this full 60, they could see a lead change here, but that all depends on the rotation. As number one, Genesis is already sitting deep Lambo, waiting for 3 players of Team War to push his right side. He doesn't know it yet, but he's about to find out. He's about to answer to Lucky. The Journey, will he get the 2? He gets the 2. Third one gets cleaned up by his teammate to 10. That is 4 down for the side of Team War.
Huge double kill right there, because that break on Vent would have been devastating. 3 different players coming through from the flank, and they shut it down with the quickness. The next push coming through from Art. 2 kills do go in favor of this offensive team, Team War, as they're trying to get onto the point. Genesis looks like he'll be met by just 1 player this time, who also has 2 enemies coming up right behind a very unfortunate spawn, and Terrence will take full advantage of that. Defense still mounted, as PD, once again in a position to do it with the AR, is able to hold on for his team, but he needs support for Genesis to follow up, finish the kill, secure the scrap time. The closest player to the action is Metals. He's going to opt to run away and try and get some control of Art as the rotation is underway towards basketball court.
Good early rotation out of Team War, and like I said, if Obtain get that set up into that Lambo hill, they are going to see a little bit, okay, not a lead change just yet, but 66 to 72, and now they have to make their way all the way across the map to get into P3, of which Team War is already set up and waiting. PD's going to try and pick off Lucky, but he gets taken down, and Team War is such a scary team if you let them get set up in hills, so Obtain Esports need to stop them and stop them fast.
Team War looking to resist that lead switch we were seeing creep up. Now a 30-second deficit is what Obtain needs to climb through here, and they're still pouring it in from poolside. But look, the play call, we're seeing 3 different members of Team Obtain route through middle map towards kitchen, try and disrupt Muddy, but Metals is not having any of it. Door slammed shut right in their face with a double kill. They got enough support to follow it up and find all 4 kills for that wave of engagements. And look at that clock. That's a money hill for them, nearly 60 seconds in the lead.
You have to get that trade out on Metals there if you're going to commit that much to Old. And now only 9 seconds left, and Obtained is spawning on that side. Number 1, that's Genesis. So just kind of hanging out in the back here. He knows Invidian's still at Old. He's just waiting to catch him on that rotation. And Obtained, again, it's not too much to come back from, but you have to stop giving Team War these early rotations because they are such a good defensive team. And as a collapse comes in from mid with such a back and forth hill, Team War has now found a couple kills off. They aren't able to find the time just yet as Terrence and Petey are trying to stay alive for the rest of the team.
Take a look at the highest kills in the lobby as we're set in the last hill in this rotation of hardpoints. We're seeing Lucky up top alongside Detain, the newcomer for the side of Obtained Esports, but it's still amounting to such a huge lead for the side of Team War because of how few those engagements that they have are deaths. I mean, these guys are going on big streaks, finding multi-kills, holding down money hills, and that's what's extending their lead so far here. Coming right back into the middle, Ali, is there anything you want to see change about this second set of rotations and the way that Obtained is going to play it?
Obtained has to start getting these early rotations. Team War, once they're set up, it is almost impossible to break in, especially on a map like Raid. So Obtained needs to start getting these early rotations and making sure not to get broken before the hill pops, because that's really where they're falling here. As we're watching now, is Obtained to set up and P1 going into this second rotation, but Turney is trying to get a little bit of headway for his team, but finally some time looking to go to the side of Obtained Esports.
That's right. You got Petey and Terrence inside the hard point. Petey so far, least kill contribution for his team. Very storied player. We've seen him on a number of different rosters at the top of the ladder in Europe. Think about Millennium. You think about Infused. I mean, you think about such a long, great history of European Call of Duty esports. I want to see him bring it together here for his team. He's been a pretty stellar defensive player when his team is able to get that initial time on the hard point, but you see it just doesn't all come together as a collective effort. Still though, as we say this, they are starting to pull themselves back into this game. A 50-second deficit as the scrap time still does go to Team War, but it looks like they're set up and trying to get to this kitchen hard point already. So as the pressure comes in from middle map and Art, and as they're also 2 down in the first wave engagements, we'll have to see how they can answer to it.
Detain. I don't know why he tried to go and pick somebody off of Old, but he really did not help his team there, as because he was taken down, it allowed Team War to push up through that side and spawn the rest of Obtained Esports out. So thankfully they're able to come back and wipe Team War to get this control back, but that was definitely a scary play out of him, as all Team War is now trying to flood through the front on Obtained.
All through the front they go. 3 different players pouring it in, all to be met by Detain, who's bobbing and weaving, poking back and forth with support over his shoulder from Genesis. Just next to the action, holding a close angle, he dives out half health and is finally finished off after being tagged up. A lot of this hill time going to Team Obtained, still finding themselves 60 seconds behind though, because the pressure from Team War is just relentless. They continue pouring it in here, and as soon as Detain has a moment to breathe, he's red screen again.
Dang, I love the play out of Terrence as he was going to try and sneak his way to the back of Lambo, because we saw what happened in the first rotation of hills. Team War got set up in Lambo, and Team Obtained got set up in Lambo, and there was no way Team War could get through, and now you have one of the best defensive teams set up in Lambo, just picking apart as Lucky and Invidian takedown to Genesis. Oh, he finds Metals, though. He gets taken down by Lucky. Thankfully, Terrence gets picked off as well, and now this is a good at least 20 to 30 seconds going again on the side of Team War as they break the 200 mark.
2 players have broken 20 kills in the lobby. First one to do it is Lucky, who's well on his way to 30. Terrence looks to be the next up at 3rd, 19 and 15 for his team, as they're still trying to play offensively and break this hard point. But you see Team War both times in this garage hardpoint. They've just done so much damage and played such great defense. It's contested once again. Invidian, Metals, Lucky engaged and activated. Invidian's on the chase, but the fiery van finally detonates and finds the final kill. One more, tagging him up and finishing the job with the pistol. Invidian holds it down.
That was a beautiful hold out of Team War. Not only did they all rotate to the bottom side of the map because they knew Obtained was spawning pool, but they also managed to get 2 players on the rotation for next hill and force Obtained Esports to spawn deep at old. So now they got a couple seconds their way, but Obtained, they're trying to hold on as much as they can. They need this entire hill and more if they want to come back, as Team War is only a mere 13 seconds from winning. So we have to see some perfect hardpoint coming out of Obtained Esports if they want to take this map.
Obtained gets a huge chunk of the initial time of this money hill, but they also lose 2 of their players in the process. Take a look at that spawn. They're spawning up towards Laundry, so the trip is not that long in comparison to what we're seeing from Team War, who continue to pour through from bedroom, middle map, from pool. They're, again, sending their players through middle map into kitchen to meet with the submachine gun player in money room, but Genesis shuts that down. One more coming out late. He tries to re-challenge and find the 3rd kill in a row, but he is put to rest. Still, all of that hill time going to Obtain, once again, pulling themselves further into the competition of this hardpoint alley. But Team War, like you said, just 13 seconds separates them from victory.
Team War is definitely getting a little picked apart here by Obtain now as we go into this last couple of hills, but Obtain is playing again, like I said, perfect hardpoint. However, PD is 19-27. He does have the most hill time on his team, but if they want to take this off of Team War, I think we're going to have to see him at least heat up a little bit here, as most of the time is going to Obtain. Journey and Lucky find 2, but Obtain are looking to answer right back. At Detain left on his own. He gets the 1. He needs to get 2. Can he get the 3rd? He's so huge. Detain gets 3. Now, only 30 seconds away. Obtain Esports. Detain is 30-22. They are trying to bring this back, as we might see a lead change. Team War, they need to keep their composure. They need to slide in here and get all these trades. Detain again. He's on a 4 streak. He's going to be on a 5 in a second. And Vidian finally shuts him down. 10 seconds. Team War looking to take this map.
4 kills in a row sat inside of that hard point. He was able to climb way up to the amount of hill time that PD has been slowly collecting for his team throughout this game. Team War are fighting back so well in the final minute or 2 of this map. Still, Obtain. Team War, just 2 seconds separates them, but Obtain, they're not letting them have it. They're holding down such a tight grip on the objective, and Team War continues to be pushed back. 3 seconds, and now we have a tie game, the first lead switch, and score limit reached as Obtain Esports pulls off the comeback.
I mean, Team War just started, they looked so good. I mean, they had over 60-second leads, and they just started getting picked apart. It was like Obtain just flipped the switch, and they just started mauling down Team War. I mean, they were clearing them every time they made a push, and again, I talk about how in S&D, you know, sometimes Team War can panic, and I feel like I kind of watched that happen here in this hard point. I feel like I watched Team War go a little bit in panic mode as they saw Obtain starting to crawl their way back.
Yeah, and look, we were keeping track of that fight throughout the entire map of kind of Detain and PD holding it together for the team. Still not really amounting to too much in terms of finding a lead in the game, but as we saw in the end of that map, the first lead switch ended up being what brought them their victory. 250-248, really intense way to start out the day for Season 3 of the Challenger Series, and I think we are going to spend a lot of our time in reviewing this first map talking about Detain and his contribution as one of the newer players to the team. Of course, we highlight the cohesion that we saw, the obvious system that Team War has in place for all of these players, but you know, we saw those hot streaks coming out of players like PD, or like Detain and Genesis mid to late game, and that's what put them over the top, Allie.
Oh, absolutely. And Detain getting that 4 in that mid last hill, I mean, that was huge. Not to mention, I believe it was Terrence on early rotation to go back on the reset into circles. So, I mean, again, beautiful playing out of Obtained. And Detain, I mean, that momentum switch mid-map to bring them back an over 60-point deficit, you know they're feeling good after that.
Oh, they have to be. They have to be. Something about Team War just shut down, turned right off when we got into the third, maybe the third quarter of the game, right? And Obtained Esports, they were just firing. I mean, you're seeing it right here, reliving the experience from the best angle, through the eyes of Detain, who found 4 kills in the objective, 7 overall, just really an unbeatable 2 minutes of hardpoint right there that pulled Obtained Esports right into the victory seat.
I think something that definitely helped them, as I said, going into the second rotation of Hill, is that Obtain needed to start getting those early rotations, because once Team War is set up, they're a very, very difficult team to break. So, and I feel like that's exactly what they did. I feel like, you know, I say these things all the time and it's like the teams hear me, because as soon as I said that Obtained, they got that early rotation onto Circle Hill. They started getting early rotations onto P2. And I think that's what really helped them at least stay in the game to make that final push near the end. And now Fox going into this S&D, I know overall in this series, I was definitely favoring Obtained already. But after that hard point, I think I'm even more convinced because, I mean, Team War, they've been struggling in S&D. And Obtained, I mean, with the addition of Detain, not to mention he's going off the momentum of Hardpoint and how good he already is at S&D, Team War should be very scared right now going into this S&D.
I think they should. I think that even with their, some of the players, their caliber as veterans, and some of the most experienced players in their region, they still have reason to be worried, especially with what we just saw Obtain pull out in the late game. Any team that can really rally together in the closing moments of a losing map, where at no point they had the lead, and then just shut the door in your face, that's got to be intimidating coming to the rest of the series. Now, that also leaves a lot to be said with the fact that the players of Team War, especially when some of them were under the Heretics banner, have been in much higher pressure situations with really intense competition on land for tens of thousands of dollars. We gotta expect to see them keep their composure and give us a competitive search and destroy here on Express.
Yes, very much. And Team War, of course, is a pretty big favorite. And I said Lucky and Nvidian, needed to start off hot in that hard point. And I feel like that's what they did. So I think just because it was such a crushing loss in that hard point, mentally, they probably aren't doing too well right now. And this is one of those things where you have to ignore that hard point. You need to go on this S&D confident. I need Lucky and Nvidian to continue to come off hot. And I think if the win condition for Team War is going to be Lucky, I feel like he's going to be the one that's going to have to kind of put the team on his back and kind of carry them through this S&D if they're going to hope to take this off of Obtained Esports.
That's right. It will be a tough one. Again, if you're just tuning in, we're watching Obtained Esports facing off against Team War. Some teams returning from Season 2 of the Challenger Series here in the European region. Later on today, we will have one more European match for you, as well as 2 North American matchups. We're just coming off of an intense raid hardpoint war in the closing moments. Huge comeback, first lead change of the game. A highly uncontested 2 minutes of hardpoint where we got to watch Detain mow down the entirety of Team War back to back to back. Really just stellar objective play out of him. Another standout player that I feel like we didn't talk about much, because when he was contributing, his team was losing pretty handily, and it was Petey, right? The Krieg player in this lobby that we saw, Ali, I mean, when he planted his feet and got into a good position, he was a huge asset to Obtained Esports.
Well, what's funny is one of my notes actually before PD and Genesis kind of made this roster change with Detain, and Terrence, of course, was brought back. But it always felt like in their games, it was PD and Genesis against the world. I feel like it was always them two kind of going off in games. And unfortunately, their other two teammates were falling behind. So I'm definitely still keeping my eye out for those two. And I think the addition of Detain is really helping them kind of show off that they don't have to carry their team as much as they used to. So hopping right into this S&D Express, finally get to cast Express, Fox. I don't know about you, but I am so excited for this as we are now on board with Team War.
Express Search and Destroy, and we're seeing a very aggressive B hit right off the bat. When you see players sprinting down that hallway, don't expect to see that repeated. It's so easy to throw tacticals and lethals through it, but they got through for free. And now we're seeing the bomb favoring towards the A site. As one player slips the net, he ends up getting caught by Lucky. So this could unfold more action on the site, as we see Metals is able to find a kill shortly before being traded by Terrence. Detain uses that opportunity to move up on the A site, but all of the action from the offensive team is already wrapping back through spawn towards B.
Huge first blood out of Lucky, now putting them at a numbers advantage of 3v2. Bomb does still need to go down, as it might here now as we're on board with Journey. Number 1 on your mini-map, that's going to be Nvidian, though. He might catch Terrence in the back if he decides to go that way. He won't, but he will win the gunfight against Detain. That is now Terrence in a 1v3. Bomb is down. He gets caught out by Journey, and now a fantastic answer back from Team War as they go up 1-0 in the S&D.
Team War with the first point on the board in the last several minutes of Call of Duty we've seen in this series, but with this bomb plant, of course, that's going to set the tone for these offensive rounds. I mean, maybe we see more of those aggressive B hits since they didn't quite get punished for it off the start. Of course, Express playing very differently from what it did in Black Ops 2 when we saw guns like the M8 and guns like the DSR really take over that B bomb site and parts of A too, especially because of that overlook on the balcony. So it's interesting to see the change in Cold War, as we're also able to see a lot more wall banging through that spot.
little pre-fire there out of Nvidia as Metals and Journey catch all of Obtain Esports, trying to make this rotation. Now, once again, stuck in a 3v2. Obtain Esports, and they get traded out so quick. Team War are picking apart Obtain. They read the strat perfectly. Team War, in a very convincingly fast fashion, now go up 2-0 in the S&D, which it was cool to see their KD across the board because every single player on the side of Team War was getting kills. Gonna watch Mel's again pick apart Obtained as he goes in through mid-train, he turns around as his teammate gets taken down, and there goes Petey. Obtain, they need to start changing their pace here. They're going a little too fast, and they're running straight into Team War's 5.
I mean, we just saw Metals pick up an ace in under 20 seconds. This dude was just... They're moving so aggressively, and it's certainly rewarding the playstyle of someone like Metals in this map, or nearly an ace. I'm sorry, it looks like he got 3 in a row that round. Damage on all 4 players, nonetheless, with a bit of support over his shoulder as well. That's what you love to see if you're on the side of Team War. And we're seeing a B hit, all 4 players right off the start.
Oh, unfortunately,
no.
Metals takes his own teammate down. He had to give a little bit of a leverage to Obtain Esports, as is now a 3v3. One gets traded out, but now you see on your mini-map, all of Obtained is starting to rotate over to this bomb site as they now have that information. Genesis finds Metals, and number 1, that's Nvidia. He's probably going to get traded out here as he tags that Detain, and hopefully Genesis is going to be able to make this turn and help his teammate out.
Yeah, big stop to shut down Metals there, who was out killing most of the lobby. And, I mean, he was stopping everything in sight, even his teammates. 1 versus 2 situation through the eyes of the bomb carrier. Lucky for Team War. He's not too close to anyone besides the player underneath him, that's Terrence. He's actually going to opt to just go straight towards the A site. A quick plant would be super beneficial here. It looks like he will commit to it. No one from the side of Obtain moving a muscle. But as soon as they see that pop up on their screen, they got 45 seconds on the clock to make a move. They're closing in.
I like this play of Genesis. It looks like he's going to wait for Terrence to hopefully make that rotation around the backside and just kind of hold this angle to see if Lucky peeks out as it's about to happen. He catches Lucky, so finally we're going to see a round go on the side of Obtained. But, you know, you think, is that really because Obtained, you know, got all the kills and stuff? Great plays out of them, but Team War accidentally took down one of their teammates and kind of forced a little 3v3 there. So unfortunate for them for sure, but Metals sitting at 5-2 in this S&D.
I think if Journey doesn't stick his teammate, that round plays out very differently. I mean, they had a 4-man push onto the site. They specifically sent that many players there to overwhelm the ticket booth, but they couldn't do it because he killed his teammate and damaged himself with the Semtex, forcing the player to find only 1 kill and back off and concede that part of the map to the enemy team, completely counterproductive to the overall plan. So I think that once we see them get another opportunity, they will execute that play, and I think they will be successful next time. They just, you know, I think we saw that Obtain really wasn't ready for it. Now, through the eyes of Obtain, though, it's their offensive round. They're sending 4 players to A bit of a mismatch as the entirety of Team War, they're sat at B. A quick plant, again, would be beneficial for them, but they're taking their time, tossing their tacticals, and finding more information.
Very unfortunate as we're seeing a different Detain here as he's sitting 0-3 and Obtained. They slowed down a little bit going to that A site, so it allowed Team War to get that information as you see the rotations coming in. But bomb will go down and Petey gets tagged. He won't go out just yet. But number 3, Metals, is trying to hit the flank. He's probably going to take down Terrence. There it is. It is now 3v3. 30 seconds on the clock. Now, number 5, that's Genesis. He might get caught in between 2 players here as Nvidia tags one up, but he finds one. Ian finds the trade, though, but again, now it's just a 1v2, looking in the favor of Obtained as now they go up 2-2 in the S&D.
This guy Detain is just so responsive with the submachine gun. Head on a swivel, constantly moving, checking every corner. Leave no stone unturned. And you are not catching this man off guard. He hears you stomping around through the train. Finding another round on your kill cam is Detain as they tie things up at 2-2 here, Ali. And so far, so good as far as what you predicted, a back and forth search and destroy.
My Caster's Curse is definitely a different one, as now Detain sits as 2-3 as he finds 2 kills in that last round as half the Team War goes down. But Metals is 6-3, still doing what he can for his team as they are tied across the board. Bomb making its way towards A site. Looks like it's going to slow down its way just a little bit, but no one from Obtained is there, so Team War obviously doesn't know that, but they'll get that information soon as hopefully we see a bomb plant at the A site.
Potentially incoming is that bomb plant as First Blood does go in favor of Team War. You got to expect to see an answer come back from Obtained here soon, but no one playing very close to their teammates. They're also not quite favoring either site. They could quickly act on the A site should it be planted here. But Journey knows better than that, playing it oh so carefully. Lucky finding another one this round. A third kill, still unanswered, is this player. As we have Terrence left in a 1 versus 3, excuse me.
Dude chills out of Lucky to get another round for his teammates. And, I'm looking at Obtained, you're starting to think, what's going wrong is I definitely was not favoring Team War going into this S&D, but, they're making their decisions, they're committing to sites, and they're actually, playing together, which I feel like I haven't seen them do in S&D too much. And Obtained, they're playing a little bit to Team War's pace right now, They're not playing as fast as I feel like I'm used to seeing. I don't feel like Obtained's kind of roaming around the map and catching them off guard. And I think Obtained really need to kind of just pull back here and do what they do best.
Yeah, as we've seen, Team War has that foot on the gas. Looks like all 4 players once again committing towards the A-bomb site. They will be met with 3 this time, so it won't be wide open. Journey sat in position, is able to take PD down on the offense. Terrence trying to pop some shots into the top of the booth there. He just barely almost escapes with his life. Detained finds a second kill for the team in this engagement. Bomb still in hand as they know Journey's just around the corner waiting for that action. They're not going to give it to him for free as Journey looks to reposition, giving the Obtained roster the information they need to just continue playing defense, wait for Journey to get antsy before getting the bomb.
I was going to say, although up lies, Team War have the information of where the bomb is trying to go down, but as soon as I say that, one of them gets taken down, and now Invidian is stuck in a 1v3 as the bomb does get planted, and this is what I needed out of Obtained. They baited a little bit with that first blood, and they were able to get the trades quick and easy as the Tata Genesis found 2 on the side of Team War, so we should see another round go their way.
Yeah, you're definitely liking the way that they played Journey right there to make him come out and just hand his life over to the side of Obtained, who were playing defense on the site, waiting to get the plant down. As soon as they got the player that was closest to disrupt the objective down, they were able to act on it. They knew that Metals would be followed up with Journey right here after Genesis got that kill.
Seeing a lot of A pushes now, and as we go into the later rounds, and I'm interested to see if we're going to see any blind counters on the side of B as we are on board with Team War. They're on the offensive. Bomb's going to get picked up on the side of Journey, and it looks like another full A hit, but looks like Obtained is going to also be answering there as they make it there first, and we're going to probably see a couple of trades going down here in a few moments for us.
Terrence lurking at B, sees no one's home, and decides to cut back a little bit closer towards the middle map in A, just checking for flanks, but nothing unfolding or developing in that sense either. We got 2 players on site, player 4 and player 2, Journey and Lucky. 2 players playing side by side on point here as Metals is going to take the high ground. Unfortunately for him, he does not have the Krieg, so that's something he'll have to concede to at a distance. We see Terrence in the back trying to line up that shot. Metals still finds a kill onto Detain there, though. That's a huge stop. He's got to be one of the strongest subs in the lobby. 5 kills to his name as well. Terrence in the back line is still able to connect with enough shots for another kill. Metals follows up. He was in position up top as we saw before, and now left in a 1 versus 2.
I love the play of Obtained. They all pushed up forward to the A site and got the information that they were all hitting it and backed up and just played the angles because they knew they wouldn't be able to get bombed down. So now Metals, he's going to be able to play it, but he's in a 1v2. He's going to have to answer to Genesis, which he takes him down. And Terrence isn't close enough for the trade, so Metals might be able to do this. What should have been an easy round for Obtained is now looking a little scary. He saw his head, he gets the second one. Team War, go up 4-3 now, all thanks to Metals being able to get that 1v2.
I mean, that was just stellar movement out of Metals right there, playing his life. He didn't know where the second player was coming from, but he knew how to best play his angles to protect himself while he was low life, and was able to clutch up, finding that second kill in the 1v2 with the bomb down. Really just stellar, just elite search and destroy play coming from him.
I believe Metals got 3 that round as well. He's the one that kind of got that first pick onto Obtained that allowed his teammates to push up a little bit. And then getting that 1v2 in the end, 11 and 4, they have to shut him down if they want to come back at all in these round counts, as they are down 4-3 on the side of Obtained Esports. And PD, a little bit of a slow start. He is 2-6, but the rest of his teammates across the board doing pretty well. Another full A hit on the side of Obtained, and two members of Team War, they're pushing through the back. Terrence is able to pick one, but he will get traded out by Journey. And Obtained Esports are now going to have to watch their backs, as I'm sure his teammate called out that Journey is making his way through their spawn.
That he is. Looking to make some progress in the back there. We got Lucky as well. It looks like he might be met by Genesis here shortly. I think they might have spotted each other. Tacticals come out, not connecting with a whole lot, but it does allow Genesis to get by. Still caught in the end by Invidian, playing off of that communication. 35 seconds remain on the clock here with PD last alive, and the bomb's down on A.
Genesis had to win that gunfight, and he knew he was going to be there too, but Invidian was able to shut him down and bomb down. PD is now also stuck on 1v2 as he takes one out of war, and the defuse is going through. He's going to be able to pick him off. He gets lucky off. He's not able to get Journey. He has to get him. PD pulls out the pistol, and he's able to shoot Journey in the feet, and now another insane play on that side. It says, did the bomb get defused? It shot him in the feet, but it looks like the round count went to the side of Team War. I'm going to watch it one more time as PD gets this 1v3.
Team War in the end was able to get that one, popping up in the closing moments, despite PD taking a trip to the gun range and just making it look easy, picking them off of the objective. Still wasn't enough in the end as we get to map point, and Team War one away from sealing the deal as they face off against an obtained roster with great resilience and these surges of excellence in the late stages of the game.
Not down and out yet on the side of obtained, but definitely have a lot of work to do after that 1v3 not going their way. And again, we see this happen all the time. Everybody is slowing down as we are in match point for this map. 5-3 Team War is up. Metals 11-5, Journey 5-6, Lucky and Invidian across the border 8-11 combined. War looking to close it out here as they don't want to give obtained any little leeway like they did in that hard point.
This is the most defensive that I've seen Team War play an A site hit. They're looking for someone to try and move up too far through train, but they end up not being able to bait anyone out. You see Journey kind of retreating to that position, and Metals looking to see if anyone will follow up to the damage that they did get on that submachine gun player, but no one from obtained is biting. No one's taking the bait. As tacticals and lethals come out, you can start to see that change here. PD ducking just beneath the window. He will be met by Metals if he decides to climb up. Metals, of course, is to play his life, looking for the flank, waiting for someone to jump through the window. He's stuck at this point. That's why we're seeing the bomb go down on this side. It was all a decoy. Invidian, Metals, find big kills to open things up. He's finally taken down, but he played his role well in computers, and now the rotation comes in from the remaining 2 obtained esports players.
Great patience out of Invidian, just waiting for that player to make the rotation, and the bomb making its way towards B. I mean, it was a free plant for the side of Team War, and now Detain has to make the impossible possible as he's stuck in a 1v3. Lucky shuts him down. Team War take the S&D in a 6-3 fashion. So what was supposed to be favoring obtained, I mean, Team War, they really showed up, and that's something I feel like I wasn't expecting to see. Team War fixed exactly what they needed to in S&D, and that was they needed to stop, slowing down. They needed to stop, slowing down, letting the clock run, and then kind of rushing to make a decision. And I feel like that's what I just watched now is Team War actually making early decisions on making the full rotations and committing to a bomb site, and that's exactly what they needed to do.
Oh, yeah, we saw them, like we said before, their cohesion as the team. I mean, some of these players have been around each other for so long. They're all on the same page, and when they click and execute on the same play, especially as we saw in the opening rounds, I mean, they just have devastating results. Those quick, fiery conclusions to those offensive rounds are certainly a tool in their tool belt. So as we review this Search and Destroy, keep in mind just how much damage someone like Metals was able to do. Of course, there was one round where there was a team Semtex on the B site that ended up kind of slowing their momentum a little bit, but players like Metals and like Journey with their positioning were just able to be so disruptive time and time again. On the side of Obtained Esports, we saw Detain from downtown, lots of long-range damage. Terrence from downtown, long-range damage. Detain was in your face. Detain let you know that he was right around the corner because he was already firing on you. So really an exciting Search and Destroy so far in this matchup here for me, Ali. What do you think?
I mean, Metals, I know we talk about his KD, I mean, just shutting down every player, but I also want to touch how I thought, Lucky kind of needed to put his team on his back, and I felt like time and time again, I saw Lucky getting first bloods for his team, and time again, he'd even find the second. It was first and second were always on the board of Lucky, and I feel like that was a huge decision-making when it comes to their Team War's victory in the S&D.
Yeah, I mean, the buddy system works beautifully for War. Whenever Journey's alongside Lucky or Metals alongside literally anyone else with 2 feet, 2 thumbs, the play ends up unfolding in the way that they wished for it to. Lots of representation of our Spanish-speaking friends around the world in this matchup. Obtained Esports recently picking up an all-women's team from Brazil, in a different title. Of course, we're seeing the side of Team War with many Spanish-speaking players that have competed in Spain for some time for our European friends. So we can go ahead and take a look at this match here upcoming. As we see, we're getting into Game 3 between Obtained Esports and Team War. We're all tied up at 1-1, and what has been a very back-and-forth brawl between these two EU rosters. And Ali, do you have any big takeaways before we head to Russia and Garrison twice?
Takeaways, the S&D going inside Team War, I definitely didn't expect. I've said it 10 times, I'll say it again. And so I think that's a huge win that they needed under their belt to survive the rest of the series. But I do expect the control to go to the side of Team War. They're a very good control team. I say it all the time that they are a very good defensive team. And I feel like that's really going to show here into this Garrison control.
That's right. So, also, excuse me, we are not in Russia. We're at a United States military base. Garrison here as we're loading into the map. We're going into Game 3 between Team War and Obtained Esports. It's been a crazy series so far with the submachine guns on both sides really lighting things up, especially Obtained, the newest pickup to the team as of April 16th, putting on a clinic at sometimes against Team War, at least on an individual level. We're looking through the eyes of Metal, who he's going to keep your attention throughout the remainder of this series, I'm sure.
The team doing a huge commit to the A site defensive already off the bat, and Team War, they haven't even gotten a tick on B now as they look to capitalize on that, but it's almost a little too late as they had that first couple of seconds to really, make a setup there as all of Obtained's members were on the green side, but they unfortunately did not take advantage of that, so they're now struggling a bit here to try and get that first tick as Obtained has rotated and Terrence takes down 2.
Terrence sat on the point, disrupting the progress. No one's home at the moment as a lot of the pressure is towards A site. It's Detained with a bloody red screen tagged up and is still able to find a kill. Still playing defensively on the site. He's met with no one as they're able to clear it all out. The pressure again, just 2 players on the B site. Bit of a staggered push. We're seeing a very fractured, very frazzled Team War on their offensive round right now as Obtained are putting up a very competent defense so far.
A little bit to be expected as Control tends to be a bit of a defensive game mode as whatever side is on the defensive is usually favored to win as we watch Obtained kind of tear through the Team War here as I believe combined they only have about 7 or 8 kills, 17 seconds on the clock, no tick yet on either site, so looks like we're probably going to see this go on the side of Obtained.
Stopping Detained right there was big. It allows them to hop onto the B site. We got 2 players coming up behind them to support as well. They could find this first these 3 tick progressions on B and move over to the A site because of the way they divvied up their players. Lucky is already looking to find that first blood, but that might be very wishful thinking as they're certainly not done holding down B just yet. Metals, Lucky, Journey all contributing in the kill feed. That's 4 straight dead as they capture point B and all move in unison to the A site. We have all 4 players of Obtained Esports pushing up through bricks. This is the explosive moments that we're talking about. Obtained Esports are looking to put it away.
What beautiful timing for Team War to get that full team wipe on both the A site and B site. I wonder if there was a little bit of miscommunication on the side of Obtained because they were looking like they wanted to give up B and make that full commit towards the A site, and then they split off near the end and sent 2 that way just to get picked off as the 2 on the A site got picked off, which allowed Team War to capitalize and hit B and A in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and take a look at Invidian, who just had to hold down the trigger, look left and right, and that's your job. Just playing beautiful defense. Flak Jacket saving him as well. Journey as a distraction, just for him to fire over his shoulder and finish the job. I mean, just great positioning and awareness out of those players to take the initiative, hop straight over to A. As soon as they shut things down at lights, it was a wrap.
Obtained just had to continue with their commitment towards that A site, and unfortunately they made that split, which cost them that round. So now in a control, very defensive game mode, they have already given up an offensive to Team War, who is the last team you want to do that to, especially this early on in the series. So Genesis will find first blood, but they're going to be struggling over here to try and get these first hits onto the B side as Journey falls, and Team War looking to now make that A commit this early.
So we're still seeing Lucky alive from the previous round. 5 of his 6 kills were found in a row. And we see him again on defense here on the A site. Met with 1 player in green. Turns and puts 3 shots in his chest. He's moving up to try and finish off the fight he started at Arches, but that player's abandoned ship. That's a gunfight I'd run away from too. Lucky sniffs out Genesis and takes him off point B. Progression is ended on the B site, but the pressure's not up just yet. And Vidian, Semtex kill on the Detain to clear it out. But again, 2 more players coming up to keep the pressure on. Genesis and PD, they find 1 kill in their opening engagements. Metals once again answering back. He's just always there, Ali.
Yep, and now War is going to have to give up that B side as they set up for this A push. It is 22 to 22 lives even across the board. As soon as I say that, Lucky takes down another one as they have yet to shut him down as he finally falls at 10 and 3. But again, Metals is pushed up trying to make some noise, but Obtain, they're answering back little by little here, but they have a long feat to accomplish as we see what most teams do trying to get into this A side as they push through Team War spawn.
Lucky at 11 and 3, first player in the lobby to break 10 kills. He did most of that without dying. We're seeing score streaks in the arsenal of Team War as well, which could certainly play out throughout the rest of this map. Tick progress made on B site as we focus over to A. All efforts moving towards it as the opening kill does go to Obtain Esports because of Genesis. Finding that great headshot. Lucky in a tough position, a very tight position on Arches, is going to elect to use those score streaks. All of these players outlight on Satellite certainly have something to fear as the missiles come raining down from above and Lucky comes out on top. Cleared out the site completely just like that.
Some skilled angling there on the side of the score streaks for Lucky at 15 and 3 on a 5 streak in green. I was worried for a second because Lucky Metals had fallen back into bricks and Obtained had made their way out of green near the A site, but Lucky pulled out the streaks and good night Obtained Esports as it is 14 to 12. 50 seconds to try and break this defensive setup on green right now by Team War.
Detain taking down Lucky to maintain control of green here. Of course, with 2 players just around the corner on Satellite, he's got to worry about the objective. Not just that, the potential pinch coming in, which he was looking for from Catwalk. He catches Metals on bottom mid. He elects to give up the stellar positioning to his teammate on Catwalk as he pushes the pressure towards bricks. This is exactly where you want Detain to be. I like the call. I like the fact that he's supposed to be the first one into this engagement. Let's see how it unfolds.
Journey does shut him down though. Now that's 2 down on the side of Obtained Esports. They possibly have half a push here with number 5 and 8 Genesis and PD and Bricks, but they get shut down very quickly by Metals and Lucky, the scariest duo I would never want to meet up inside of Bricks. And now Detain looking to maybe just get a little bit on his KD.
4 lives remaining, 4 seconds on the clock. Team War is in stellar control, but Genesis is looking to be that last annoyance in the closing moments. Semtex is around the corner to try and buy himself some more time, but he's looking to be overwhelmed here soon. 1 tier of the tick progress has been made, but the follow-up comes through and is quickly answered just like that. Team War puts a 2nd round on the board in this control.
Unfortunately, the cavalry was not there to help him as 3 seconds were left for that. And we're going to watch PD here get a couple of kills, but Team War, I mean, they are just looking unbreakable when it comes to defensive holds. And if you're Obtained Esports, you already gave up an offensive round, and now you are hoping not to do it again. I mean, this is match point for Team War to go up 2-1 in the series. Obtained, they got to change something now.
It's match point. Team War should still have 1 more score streak to their name. They got Lucky and Metals approaching 20 kills before pretty much all of the players have Obtained could even break 10 so far in this game. Really just an onslaught of those players with high interaction, high engagement matchups, in these rounds, and as well as high engagement with the objective. Look at that, 18 and 11. Of course, green control is going to be the fight we're focused on if we're going towards the A site off the rip, but mostly action is unfolding around B right now as several players on the side of Team War have been able to push through.
34 and 17 combined. This is Lucky and Metals as they have been putting on a bit of a clinic here on the side of Obtained, and Obtained, they can crawl their way back into this, but they have a lot of work to do as they are now looking to commit to give up the B site. We saw this happen again, and now I'm a little scared because of the PTSD of Genesis and Terrence looking to pick them off at the old site. They get taken down once again. And now, number 8, that's PD. He's on his own in green, but thankfully nobody on Team War is on that side to push their way through. And I mean, it's only been about 20 seconds into the round, Fox, and already B site is gone. Obtained have a lot of work to do if they want to hold on here.
That they do. When it starts with shutting down both Journey and Lucky, they were able to stop Journey, who was playing for streaks. Lucky has still been doing the same, and I think that previous kill might have just gotten it for him. 5 kills in a row as he breaks the 20-point mark. We got a minute and a half on the clock for them to take on the A site. Those score streaks are something that's outdoors and something you can angle so well into bricks are going to be huge for them here, and you see it come into play just like that. Missiles raining down from the sky. Kills still going down on the ground as he kills a teammate. Metal still finds a double kill, and they connect with 3 kills total anyway, so this still should be offensive progress. However, they will be met with some serious conflict on the other side of the Archer's position here.
This is looking like it might be it. Fox's Journey finds 2, and now all of Team War is funneling their way into this A site as the first capture goes in. Second tick is about to happen, and nobody from Obtained is close enough as Team War are looking to take this in a comfortable 3-0 fashion.
More score streaks coming in. I mean, there's just no reason that Obtained Esports should be able to answer back. All map long, it was Team War stacking up that lead, and they come out with a victory in the end.
I mean, Obtained might as well have signed their will off the second they gave the first offensive round to the side of Team War. Team War is so scary on Control especially, and now that they are up in this series, you know, I'm worried for the rest of the momentum, but I mean, great holds out of Team War. I mean, they got in Obtained's face, and they never really gave them a foothold. I mean, I think it's been quite a while since I've seen a 3-0 Control.
Yeah, I mean, War just had that hot start, and they just kept it going at every moment that they were able to come together and set up a play, let someone play their life for streaks, play certain angles, just waiting to bait the enemy team. It ended up working out so well for them to have these huge leads in life count over the side of Obtained Esports, and they were just constantly fighting for their life. And Team War, they were just fighting for streaks. They were fighting each other for score streaks. So taking a look at the replays here again, you can see a lot of the submachine gun battles dictating the flow of this map. Metals playing beautifully on defense there on the B site. Of course, on the opposite side, we do have Nvidian, or excuse me, on a different role, we do have Nvidian with the AR, who was able to support their initial grab of the A site. This is probably one of the biggest moments in the map for sure.
You call it a replay, I'm going to call it a Team War highlight reel of this 3-0. And I know we talk a lot about of Lucky and Metals. You know, and like I said, at one point combined, they were like 34 and 17. I don't know exactly what they ended, but I believe all of Team War was firing on all cylinders. I mean, Nvidian was doing things. He was getting 2 pieces, and Journey was doing things and getting his 2 pieces. And we just have to talk about Lucky and Metals because of how they were going triple positive, but all of Team War were doing stuff on the map. All of them are playing fantastically. So going into this next hard point, I'm wondering if they can continue to fire on all cylinders and not slow down, how scary of kind of a showing they could come out with.
Yeah, and it's always so exciting to watch this Team War develop league after league, because you see the gears turn. You see what they're trying to finesse and what play they're trying to work out. And then when it unfolds and all comes together, we get big score streak performances out of Journey and Lucky, just stellar coordination on capturing the objective, and just good overall map positioning coming out of these players.
I feel like after that Control, I definitely saw the Team War that, you know, we talk about in the top contenders of the EU scene. We, you know, talk at them as being one of the best teams. So looking at the maps again and going into this hard point, I mean, we just watched Garrison Control. We watched the 3-0 dominant fashion. We're going into Garrison again, Fox. Do you think the map is going to have anything to do with it? Do you think Garrison might just be like one of their best?
I think that we see Team War take this one. I don't think it's going to be nearly as close as what we saw in map 1. I think that these guys have finally come together. They're clicking. They're going to be the Team War that we're familiar with, and this is where they close it out 3-1. Obtained Esports, I think that there will be a phase in this map where they end up, you know, maybe mounting some time on a money hill, but I think that overall it's going to be more Team War in the kill feed.
If anything, Obtained is definitely not one of those teams I feel like that will just kind of start getting shut out. I think we'll definitely continue to see little bits of hope come out of them, a little bit of a grab back. I know that Control, we didn't really see much of that, but, you know, we talk about the SMD and how they were trying to hang in there a bit. We talk about them taking that hard point after being down and out so far, over a 60-point deficit. So I don't think we've seen the end of Obtained, but they do have a lot of hurdles to overcome off of the motivation, the gas that's been lit behind the Team War after these 2 map wins.
If you're just tuning in at home and you want to check out some of these players, they got some awesome streams to watch. Go ahead, check out Aroma on Twitch sometime. These guys are streaming their practice, their conversations on how to be the best at this game and how to break into that next level. The Challenger Series fosters so much of the highest competition that we have in Call of Duty and in Call of Duty Esports. We're hopping right back into Garrison once again, looking through the eyes of Metal, who was just a terror last map.
Lucky already looking to hopefully find a first blood, but Metals does beat him to it. And already back and forth trades going mid-map. Obtain looking to end up on top here, but time not really going either side just yet as Obtain starts to flood into this P1.
P1, you see Vidian sat pretty with the Krieg, holding down light so no one should be able to get by without his careful watch. But he also has to do the job of looking at Catwalk and Green because of the support that's falling apart behind him. Lucky and Journey do come up, looking to add to their presence on middle map here, and doing that, they're going to get themselves some hill time in this game. First lead change here as they start to pull away. 2 players just around the corner in lights, though. Journey is trying to get the better of them, but PD ends up shutting him down, saving his teammate. That's a lot of pressure put onto Nvidia, but once again, the remainder of the team is there for support. Lucky and Metals are always close by.
I don't like the commit out of Obtain to try and hit that scrap time, because should they have pushed up a little too far and got a little unlucky, spawns would have been flipped out in Team War's favor. But they're able to hang on just a little bit, as though the lead is in Team War's favor. Obtain should see a bit of a switch here should they hold it, but Team War spawns behind them and they don't know. Terrence is looking to hopefully hang on just a little bit, but the cavalry is starting to come in, and now they're gonna have to try and hold it from green side.
Yeah, great defense there from the players that were still on the objective, but that spawn behind them from Team War might prove to be a bit disruptive. Maybe we spoke too soon. It seems that they've been able to respond to it pretty quickly. Are still holding
if they want to come back.
New Hill, and it looks like Team War might have the spawns closest to it. Several players from Obtained on middle map. They won't make it easy, though. This fight for bricks will be a bloody one. Met up with a bunch of different engagements on the hard point. No hill, the hill time will not go to either team, as green control is still in favor of Obtained. Meaning, Team War, as they come up through bricks to satellite, they won't be able to get through as cleanly and as quickly as they'd like. The opposition meets them opposition meets them standing tall, but get cut short as Team War is able to push through, get some more hill time. 30 seconds separate them from victory, but Obtained always on it, always bouncing right back into the action.
Obtained does a really good job of continuously putting pressure in Team War's face, because the second you let Team War set up on a hard point, it is nearly impossible to break it. So because they constantly just flood that pressure into them, it hasn't allowed them to get too much of a solid hold. Genesis finds too, but again, Team War, what I expect to see them do is kind of play for P1 and P2 and play for those spawns in that early rotation to kind of shut this game out. All they have to do is contest a little bit here off of the Obtained esports.
New Hill time. Lights is where the battle's at. Genesis is at the front of it. He's got support over his shoulder with Terrence at range with the Krieg. PD also close by with the submachine gun before Invidium puts him down. And now as both teams reset to try and find new positioning for this hill, we still see Obtained in control and in a commanding position. They got a player on catwalk. The person on green did fall, though, and that could spell trouble for them as the pinch on the hard point is looming. The gun engagements on the objective still need to go in their favor, though, as Genesis and P stay alive.
I'd like to see 3 of Team War players just kind of set up for the rotation while one does the contest, and I feel like that's exactly what I'm watching. As Lucky looks like he's going to force his way into Old, but they got to shut down Obtained if they hope to get that early rotation, and there it goes. After this 10 seconds, Obtained is only going to be about 10 down from Team War, which again, we've seen them come back time and time again from a deficit, but Team War, all they have to do is set up here, but they're getting broken out the back. Team War, you had one job, and that was to set up for spawns for P2 and send one person to contest, and you almost did it, but now you get taken down. Obtained looking to do exactly what they did in the first hard point, as they flooded through the back with fantastic composure and are getting all of this P2 time.
Terrence breaks third, and he does so in such a timely manner as he comes through, clearing out the spawn and shutting down the contribution that we've seen from Journey throughout this game, who has also broken 30 kills. He has the hot hand right now and is sure to be a part of his team's success should they find a victory here in the closing moments of this Garrison hardpoint. 8 seconds separate them. The offense is on from Team War, as Lucky finding multi-kills as he does. They still have to deal with Obtained, the newcomer to this Obtained roster, on the objective. Explosions and smoke all around him. He's still able to come out of the carnage with a victory for Obtained Esports to tie up this series 2-2.
Obtained did it again, Fox. They did it again. They were down so much where you would almost write them down and out of this hard point. And at this point, it's like a combination of Rams just kind of like, I guess, having PTSD and panicking when they're getting to the last closing hills to win the hard point. And Obtained, I mean, a switch just flips for them. All of a sudden, they play so well together. They're pushing together. They're getting all the trades that they need to get. They're winning all the gunfights they need to get. And they just suddenly start playing perfect hardpoint. Terrence got streaks out of nowhere. I mean, Obtained is terrifying in hardpoint just because they always come back from such a large deficit.
That's right, and looking at it all again, you can kind of see it all play out here in real time. Team War, as we saw in map 1, pull away, get a big lead, 50 seconds at the moment, but then they give Obtained Esports way too much time to catch on to the rhythm of the game, to find these money hills, and the pressure from Obtained Esports throughout the map to get it to that point needs to be commended. You know, they pull up another huge clutch comeback win in their first series in Season 3. They came to play today, Ali.
Obtained never even really had a foothold in this hard point until the last 2 hills. I mean, that is insane that they could come back and win in those 2 hills when War only needed, what, 20, 30 seconds? And they had one job. I said what they needed to do. 3 people needed to set up for the rotation into P2, and they just needed one person to just kind of contest time, you know, just try to keep a little bit of that lead off of Obtained Esports because they were down so far. And even if they didn't, and even if Obtained got all that time on P1, it would have been even. It would have been tied. It would have been about 225 to like 228. And they could have just set up for P2 and rode along with the last 30 seconds and just had that defensive hold. But Obtained, I mean, they just forced their way straight through bricks. They got all the kills in spawn. They flipped them out. I mean, beautiful hardpoint out of them. And what a momentum stopper going into this S&D. I mean, we are going into map 5 S&D. I mean, what an absolute momentum stopper on the side of Team War.
Yeah, huge, and highly necessary win for Obtained Esports. They're keeping themselves alive in the series to force this Game 5. Now we're seeing Miami for the first time today, as well as the first time in this series. The first Search and Destroy, we saw it back and forth for maybe the first 6 or 7 rounds, and then Team War started to pull away. However, we still did see incredible clutch plays from both teams. Some big multi-kills coming from those guys, and you really have to admire what we saw on that front.
And now I guess it's just predictions going into the Miami. And I think I'm still favoring Obtained, even though they did fall in that first S&D. I don't know if I'm quite convinced that Team War is dominant in that game mode just yet in Search and Destroy, just because of their previous history, even though that Express was obviously pretty convincing. But I mean, Obtained, not only that, they are good at S&D, they also are going off the momentum now of once again pushing back a hard point down 60 plus deficit. So going to this Game 5, it's all about composure at this point, and I feel like Team War has shown me time and time again that they kind of struggle with that.
Right, and you mentioned composure. So a matchup like this really is all about that, especially if they're going to go so far into the distance, right? Both of these hard points go all the way down to a nail-biting conclusion. There's lots of time where both teams are still kind of dancing around the hard point, can't really get into the objective. The Search and Destroys that go back and forth. I mean, you know, it takes a toll on you mentally when you're playing against these guys for such a long period of time. So as you get to this Game 5, you're antsy to see the conclusion of the series. You're looking forward to see if you can pick it up from what you did in that Search and Destroy, kind of pick up on some of the enemy team's habits. You just want to close it out, call it a day.
Yep, and again, I'm looking at Detain for S&D. He had a very slow start in that Express, and he kind of came back later into the game. And I'm thinking if Obtained can come out hot like they did in the late rounds of that Express Search and Destroy, they could easily take this from Team War. But their issue is going to be Lucky. Their issue is going to be Metals. They cannot let those two go off once again, because if Metals does what he did in the Express S&D, I mean, sign it off. See you later. That's going to be a pretty clean sweep. So I'm definitely excited going to the S&D, and I'm worried for both sides at this point, because Obtained coming off of the momentum from the hard point, you would expect them to run with it, but Team War,
right,
they shut them down in the Express S&D after the same thing happened. So both teams are definitely going through a little bit of mentals right now.
Right. And we're seeing this is season 3 of the European regions competition in the Call of Duty Challengers Elite Series. So these guys have gotten so much time to play alongside one another. We've seen the meta develop. We've seen some of the AK-74U players really pull away and stand out amongst the rest of the crowd. Namely, in this series, we're seeing Detain and Metals really put up a lot in our highlight reels and game-ending replays. So I'm just really looking forward to see how the European scene continues to develop as new organizations come through. And still, we're seeing the veterans claim their spot towards the top of our ladders, right? I think that even though we're seeing this series go to Game 5, that we can certainly expect to see stellar performances coming out of Team War that give us some of our most exciting matches in this region.
And I know we're now in, stage 3 of the Elite, and so teams have kind of mostly fallen into the place, not mostly in the EU region at least, but Obtained is one of the few teams that we have seen a roster change on with the addition of Detain and kind of flip-flops of Terrence from earlier in our stages. And at this point, you kind of ask, maybe they're still falling in together. Obtained, they're having a couple hiccups, and maybe that's just because the roster hasn't found their exact, rhythm just yet. Whereas Team War, they have been playing together time and time again. I mean, these are names we have seen across the board multiple times. So you can give them that little bit of leverage however you wish. But as we load to this map, I'm looking at Metals, I'm looking at Lucky. Either they are going to go off for Team War, or Obtained is going to have to shut them down if they want to take it.
All right, and loading into Miami. We are in Miami, Florida, taking a look through the eyes of our defensive team moving up towards the B site. There we met with swift aggression from the side of Team War, as two of their four players, one being the bomb carrier, looking to find an entrance through the back entrance. Piano control is everything when it comes down to the B site, so we'll have to see how PD and Detain are able to hold it down for the team.
Lucky catches the tail of Terrence. He doesn't get any bullets in, but he definitely gets the information. So no movement quite yet. Metal is looking for hopefully a tactical break into this B side as he catches Detained on the little bit of rotation on the other side. And Bomb is now going to... Looks like it's possibly making its way through mid. Number 7, though. Genesis should be able to catch this as you see him kind of turn a little bit. The clock is ticking, though. 37 seconds. Trades go out. First blood on the side of Obtain, but it quickly gets traded out by Journey. But Bomb, again, 30 seconds on the clock. They have to make a commitment here. This is the thing I was worrying about with Team War. They struggled to make commitment until the clock starts ticking, and that's where they start to fall apart. Genesis, he's going to catch... Oh, the tail of Lucky. He manages to stay alive, Fox.
Staying alive in the end is big. Lucky still able to find the kill, though. Detain trying to finish the job there on Nvidia, and he's able to connect with the remaining shots there, leaving Terrence and Detain in a 2 versus 2 situation. Alongside or facing off against Lucky and Journey. Bombs down on the ground. 35 seconds remain on the clock as Terrence is looking to duck away from fire from Lucky.
Huge bait and switch from Detain and Terrence. I love that little information on Lucky. Not Lucky, but he gets taken down as well. First round going to the side of Obtain. I said it in the middle of the round. I'm so worried because that looked like the old Team War S&D where they waited till the clock started ticking in their ears to make a decision. And Obtained is one of those teams that's really going to start punishing them for that.
Of course, opening moments of this Miami Search and Destroy as both teams start to get a feel for where the defensive side likes to sit. We saw the gunfights in Piano unfold very quickly. Not a whole lot came from once the bomb was rerouted towards the A-bomb site. And if you are just tuning in, that was the opening moments of our Game 5 against Team War and Obtain Esports.
Detain starting off 2-0, what we typically expected out of him going into an S&D as Bomb makes its way looking like towards B. Number 2, though, that's going to be Lucky. He's going to be left on his own towards A side, and looks like him and Terrence are going to maybe get into 1v1 as some shots go into the side of Genesis, but instead, Bomb rotates for the A side after that. A little bit of a, all right, Lucky, you want to tag me up? We're going to come say hello with the rest of my team.
Oh yeah, he's shaking. Play call, the audible is to move out over towards the A site, so as they reroute through pool towards beach, expect to see player number 2 there, Lucky, met up with a couple of other white arrows on the side of Team War. He will need support here soon on the defensive front as the rest of his team are still waiting for the execution onto the B site. So as soon as he sees more than one player pop out, I'm sure we're going to see that communication come through. But Terrence, with a quick 3 rounds to the side, is able to take him down from downtown. And halfway down, the bomb plant continues. We're going to see a rotation, a 3 versus 4 rotation from the side of Team War with the bomb down. Good luck.
Beautiful, beautiful play of Obtained, and huge first kill out of Terrence to allow the bomb go down that quickly. And I love they did it right away. You know, there wasn't any hesitation, and it didn't allow Team War any leverage to make that rotation to stop the bomb plant or stop any of the round going to the side of Obtained. So now up 2-0. I'm watching a completely different Team War right now as they are falling back into their old patterns.
Oh yeah, they caught a groove. Obtain Esports is certainly playing comfortably in this series, and you know it seems like we saw in that first Search and Destroy, it was a lot of back and forth, but off the top here, it is Obtained taking 2 straight pretty decidedly. Just 1 kill apiece for 3 of the 4 players on Team War. Nothing just yet from our friend Nvidia. However, he does have some damage down range. Bomb carrier Journey is going to pick it up for another attempt as they move towards the B bomb site. It looks like they're committing all 4 players this time. Let's see how it works out for them, Ali. It's pretty aggressive.
PD is about to get answered by 3 members of Team War as he tries to take one down, but he will get shut down very quickly by Metals. That is 3 players of Team War in Piano, but that information is now on the side of Obtain, so it's all about how they answer. Vidian, though, catches PD. He's gonna snap on Genesis too. Now stuck in a 1v4. There's only so much you can do. Terrence, as Team War very quickly changes their pace to finally get around on the board.
Yes, and as we saw right there, Nvidia is going to be our round in kill cam as well, finding his first 2 kills, piecing him up for a double kill in his first 2 kills in the Search and Destroy. You saw the trade coming through, and Nvidia answers it swiftly with his own Krieg shots. And as they find their first round on the board, Metals currently on a 2 streak. We've said his name quite a lot in this series, and as I said, expect to hear it ring time and time again as we come to the conclusion of it. But looking through the eyes of Obtain Esports, we're seeing an offensive round that looks to prioritize the B site with 3 of the 4 players.
Genesis watches Lucky do that cross, I'm assuming, hopefully trying to pick him off, but Lucky manages to get away with his life, but that information has to be on the side of Obtained, but the bomb hasn't really been sent anywhere just yet, slowly making its way towards the B side of 3 players of Team War set up and waiting for any of the tacticals to start making their way that side.
So PD does have access to the trophy system. We see there's one just on the opposite side of this van, which will make their execution here difficult. You see PD's really just got to run out and bait himself there. He ends up getting taken down. They don't get a whole lot for it as the kills do come out in favor of Obtained Esports. And they find 3 in a row, leaving Lucky all on his lonesome on defense here, and the bomb's already being planted.
I mean, Obtain, the second they get that first blood, it is a collapse. It is an absolute massacre the second that happens as the rest of their team starts to just straight collapse onto that site, onto the B site. I mean, Genesis making his way towards top piano and watching over his teammates, not to mention the slide into the bomb site and managing to stay alive for half a cent longer. Obtain Esports, I mean, when they do take the rounds, it is in a very dominating fashion, and Team War need to start answering here before they get shut out.
Coming to the conclusion of this series, Obtained Esports has the longevity to pull through these long maps and series, and they're looking to put a cap on it here as just 3 rounds separate them from victory. Team War, they're not out of it just yet as they get their next attempt at an offensive round. They will be met at a distance with Terrence. This has been him at his most dangerous, is at long range with the AR. You saw him with the hero play and Garrison Hardpoint that certainly put Obtained Esports on the route to win it in the end. We'll have to see how he contributes here in S&D. Once again, he's so devastating this far away.
Team War, we're hoping to kind of pull the same one earlier that they got that first one. As soon as I say that, Lucky finds 2 and Journey finds 1. I was going to say that they weren't going to get as lucky as they did the first time when they got Genesis up top piano, but as soon as I say that, Lucky and Journey wanted to shut me up real quick as bomb gets planted, and now PD is stuck in a 1v3 against Team War.
B3 playing his corner, still outnumbered and shut down in the end as Team War found their second round win in the Search and Destroy. Starting to answer back a bit, Allie.
Yeah, definitely. They did do kind of the same play to answer back, sending 3 top piano. And you know what? If that works for them, it works for them. But I doubt Obtained Esports is going to continue to allow that to keep happening.
And that's right. Taking a look at some of the utility on the side of Obtained Esports. We're going to expect to see Genesis quick in the mix and exhausting most of his right off the bat, I'm sure. He actually pulls out the AR, looking for that middle cross there. He's not going to see a whole lot here, but Lucky might give it to him. At a distance, he is going to line up shots on NVIDIA and not able to connect with a whole lot, but the information of who's at A site is crucial, especially as it looks like the bomb site will be making its way over there. We have player number 5, PD, is your bomb carrier, alongside with the support Terrence, that long-range AR player that should be looking over his shoulder from the boat. They're inching their way closer. Not a whole lot of action on the site. They've given up a lot of real estate here, and PD grabs onto it right away to drop the bomb. Expect the rotation to come through, but those players that cut through middle map will be met and cut short by Genesis, I'm sure.
Lucky and NVIDIA definitely had to drop a bit on Obtained Esports by sending 2 to the A side as the bomb made the rotation we saw earlier in rounds, but they didn't really execute on it. But Journey thankfully finds that first blood, but bomb is still down as Detain trades it out. So it's definitely up to Lucky and NVIDIA at this point to maybe get some control onto that site. It almost looks like NVIDIA's looking to do a ninja defuse. Never mind, he's taking a couple shots towards the side of Terrence, but he actually is defusing Detain, though should get timing as he takes down Lucky. There goes NVIDIA, and Obtained Esports go up in another round.
That was looking kind of scary right there. Team War got out of piano way too easily. We saw that how fragile that setup on middle map was, as Genesis was supposed to be the closest one to the action. They all pull out and end up getting the first blood. In the end, they're still able to close it out, stopping the 2 players on the bomb site.
Definitely a bit of a confusing round there as Team War had so many chances to capitalize and weren't able to do so. So now they are down 4-2. We're looking at Detain sitting at 8-3, Terrence at 5-2, doing a lot more on the map than we saw them previously. And Team War, I mean, across the board, they're all doing pretty okay, but okay is just not enough. They want to take down Obtained Esports in this map 5 as bomb is making its way once again towards the B site.
3 players committing to the B site. We got one sat behind that's lucky. He was going to be watching mid, that long mid-range line of sight that also accounts for any sort of flanks that might unfold. From the 2 players that are sat bottom piano, we see player 8 and player 5, PD and Detain, so close to the action. Top piano, waiting around the balcony. Metals is waiting for someone to expose too much. As soon as he backs up there, he's hoping to catch Detain. He gives it to him. The big headshot right there as Metals is still able to stay in position and support the bomb plant.
PD, do not chow that again. We saw what happened earlier, but he's able to take down Metals by a headshot as Genesis, I guess, caught the attention just a little bit, but that's a terrifying gunfight to take. But 3v2, Obtain Esports is definitely doable as Lucky Mike can count the back here by PD. He does, but bomb is down. 26 seconds. Obtain do have control over the site for the most part, though. They need to find Invidian and Journey. Unfortunately, Terrence does get picked off, though. Invidian should get the cleanup. There it goes with the shot punch. Team War looking to crawl a bit back in here in a bit of a messy round.
PD playing it patiently right there is rewarded with a double kill. I was wondering if anybody wanted to kill PD. I mean, he was just finding those kills, roaming through the map, playing freely before getting caught with a swift beatdown and elbow to the throat from Invidian to shut him down. And as we find Team War putting another round on the board, it's looking much more competitive as Obtain Esports really was walking all over them throughout the early stages of this search and destroy.
Team War is definitely finding more success by just kind of stacking your point very, very quickly and just getting that control early in time. And I hope they continue to do that should they want to close this out. But Obtain, they're still up around, still doing what they do. They're pushed back all the way in spawn, though. It's almost like they know how far up these white arrows are pushed, because that is going to be Lucky, Journey, and Metals seemingly all in piano. Genesis caught out almost just a bit. Information now for both sides as, again, they are still stuck on this B site, and they're looking to commit. I don't know why they haven't rotated when they know that there may be only one player on the A site. So Journey finds first blood, 4v3. Metals trying to find the second. Bomb needs to start making its way to the A site now, because there's just no way they're going to be able to slip past these piano players.
Yeah, Terrence is staying over there. He wants to hold down A, and I think he was exchanging shots, or at least exchanging looks with Invidian. So they know Invidian's on defense, but they can't seem to commit one way or the other. And Terrence is still sat on poolside, not able to support his team as best as he wishes he could.
I'm glad we stepped off of Invidian there for a second, as he didn't look like he could close out that kill. We're not going to talk about those shots. This Team War looking to tie up this search and destroy now. Terrence and Detain got a lot of work to do as they need to get this bomb down. One falls. Terrence gets the trade, but all it does and dusted. Team War have now tied this up 4-4. They're doing what I said they needed to do. They needed to start stacking. They needed to start playing aggressive, and that's where they're finding most of their success.
Bit of a messy round there from Obtained Esports for sure, as we saw things started to collapse and fall apart at the seams throughout mid-map. Terrence was trying to open up a play at the A site, still met with opposition in the form of Invidian. The rotation came through and crumbled before it started, and it was just a really messy setup to a messy conclusion that ends up playing into the favor of Team War. Finding themselves in the next offensive round, we have the bomb in the hands of Journey, who's found success at planting it 3 times so far this game. Tied up at 4-4. It's exactly what you want to see from your objective player, able to get in there and get into the action. But of course, they will be met with a stacked defensive setup from the side of Obtained Esports as they're pushing onto the bomb site on B.
I completely agree. Very, very messy round out of both teams there. Team War ending up to come out on top, though, but they're slowing it down here to make this push into B side, and this is where we've seen them crumble a little bit time and time again. But as they start pushing into the gears, they're going to have to see Metals doing the same thing to Detain and PD. They're not going to be able to shut it down. PD, you did this once before. He's doing it again. That's 2 down on the side of Team War. They have to stop playing this slow, methodical game once they're up.
2 opening kills for Obtained Esports, and you said it right. All they got to do is sit here, sit pretty, and wait for the rest to come. But Invidian finds a big kill on the Terrence, taking his head off at range. I'm sure that's a big, big help for his team, but he's still in a 1 versus 3. Obtained Esports put themselves at map point with that man advantage. Great defense from them coming on the B site this game.
Obtain Esports, I feel like they play such a good search and destroy. And again, Team War find their success mostly when they kind of just get in their faces and put that pressure on Obtain and kind of pick them off of position. But unfortunately, they slowed down there. They started playing very slow. They allowed Obtain to get set up. They allowed them to just kind of play into their hands. And now Obtain is in the match point. And Team War, they are not typically a team that does very well under pressure, especially in this series.
Pressure certainly on as Obtain Esports look to close out the map. We see this long range line of sight just to watch the crosshair. Genesis spots someone, gets tagged up and backs off. Metals though is still able to find a kill onto Detain that goes unanswered. A lot of these kills coming at range now as we have a very neutered setup coming from the side of Obtain Esports. They are not in a position that they want to be towards the A site. 2 towards the boat, 1 watching the flank. They don't really have a whole lot to commit here in terms of resources, especially as Team War is certainly on to them at this point.
It's Invidian and Lucky once again on the A side, but Metals is looking to maybe push his way onto that side through the mid side, and maybe that's kind of the X factor they need to win this over as Lucky finds first blood. Huge for Team War as Bomb needs to get picked up now, and Terrence almost gets ripped off, but he gets the trade. Now Genesis finds one, and Team War, now they're getting picked off for rotation. Bomb's gonna go down, Terrence is gonna get the plant, 20 seconds on the clock's gonna reset, and Team War, they now have so much more work to do to stay into this game.
Sat up on the bomb site in a 2 versus 2. It's Genesis and Terrence facing off against Metals and Invidian. First bit of gunfire is exchanged, and Genesis comes out on top with the head of Metals. In a 1 versus 2 is Invidian, who's going to be repositioning to try and catch someone off guard. Shot in the back, though, as Obtained Esports pulls away and closes out the series with a 6-4 search and destroy in Game 5.
Again, Team War, they had so much going for them, and if they just kept doing what was working every time that they got around Spaceman, it was because they were playing fast. It's because they were getting into the face of Obtained. But like in that round, we saw them slow down. We saw them just sit there and wait. And as the clock ticked and ticked on, that's when they decided to make their push. And they really started paying for that.
Obtained had some of the best positioning in both the control, the hard point, and again the S&D. I mean, I was sitting here kind of just shocked about how this entire series went. It was about as close and as back and forth as you could possibly ask for, but where big gunfights were won, Obtained were on the right side of that. And when it came down to even in the hard points, just pulling off miraculous comeback plays that should not exist, Obtained's game on sticking together and finding ways to just pick off kill after kill. I mean, Detain was hard carrying this team throughout the entire series, and then finally in the end, you know, Aroma just steps up and they close out this S&D, and there was just a couple of key gunfights, guys, back and forth where Obtained are able to pick up 1 or 2, and it just opens up the site or it closes down an initial push. Team War had multiple chances to be able to close out this series, but Fox, I mean, that was, again, not only just close in terms of the scoreline, sure, but it seemed like Team War were in the driver's seat for each time they had a lead, whatever the game respectively, and Obtained brought it back, and then they would go on to win. What were you seeing? Just an astonishing game from Obtained.
Hey, I just see Obtained coming up with great longevity, excellent resilience to see these maps all the way to their conclusion. They have these long, grueling fights where they're constantly going back and not even going back and forth. They're the underdog throughout these maps, right? They're coming from these big, steep deficits, but they're able to pull it up together in the closing moments of the game and have these surges of brilliance and put themselves in the lead and just pull the rug right from under the feet of Team War, which is certainly something we wouldn't expect from a team with such great balance.
And that was about as tense of a match in week 1 as you're going to get, Allie. I mean, Detain was getting shut down specifically in the hard point, but you saw that PD and Aroma and Genesis were starting to step things up. Genesis was a little slow on Garrison, but everyone else was contributing, and that was kind of the issue I had back when Nile and Genesis and Aroma were teaming, was that everyone else can kind of fall off the board and it's left to one player to carry the load. It seems like this team, just as the series went on, they got more confident, and there were stretches of both the hard points and the S&Ds where not only was their map positioning almost perfect, but they were just reading through the mirror of Team War, and Team War just looked like they couldn't do anything, even with Lucky having a phenomenal series, even with Journey in the S&D stepping up. Like, I don't know. I feel like Obtained are starting to figure out the rhythm of this roster. What are you seeing out of them that's giving you a glimmer of hope, seeing them move throughout the bracket?
Definitely the composure that they have. I mean, when I look at this roster, this isn't, or necessarily too much of a veteran team. You look at a team like Warren, you would expect them to have more composure. But when I look at Obtained, I mean, they lost the control 3-0. That's horrifying. If I lost control 3-0, I mean, mentally going through the rest of the series, you're down 2-1 map count. You just lost 3-0 control. And yet time and time again, they continued to fight. They continued to crawl their way back to grab another win to keep themselves alive. And I think that is so important for a team like this. And once they get, all their little quirks fixed out, they're going to be a terrifying team. They're fantastic at hardpoint. They're great at S&D. At this point, I'm telling them just chalk up control. I mean, Team War is a fantastic control team. That is probably their best game mode. So I'm not even that upset for them losing at 3-0. Just focus on your S&D and your hard point, and they're terrifying.
Yeah, and Fox, kind of for this old Rams roster, they always struggled in S&D, and they would escape on respawns. And going into the series, I think you could look at Obtain and say you need to steal a respawn early, and if you win the S&D, which you most likely will, you'll be up early 2-0 in the series, and that is the win condition. Allie even said it before the game. She said Obtain should be favored. Do you think that we need to take a look at this Team War roster now and say, okay, there needs to be a serious rework of the way they play this game?
Excuse me. I think it speaks more to the level of competition that we're seeing in Europe, right? We're seeing so many pro players that can just get scooped up at any point in time to hop into the pro division. And I think that the European roster, or the European region, has fostered some incredible competition that can come up and stand up against the likes of War. So I think it just speaks more to the rising level of competition as we get further into our seasons for Call of Duty Cold War.
Well, with that series done and dusted, we do have a little bit of an update. We're going to be jumping into map 5 of, I believe, Orglis and Amelia Strays. And Amelia Strays versus Mavericks is supposed to be our second match on the stream, but we're going to jump into a game 5. And again, that seems to be the key here today. We've seen a couple of 3-0s, a couple of 3-1s off stream. On stream, though, it's all game 5s. And you look at this team in Amelia Strays, who, coming in here, this is one of the more interesting rosters. You look at Watson, Chaxter, Piero, and Nuke. And not a lot of experience outside of Watson on this team. I mean, Watson, you want to throw it back to as old as 2013. Here's a nice little trip down memory lane for you guys. He was on Orbit, Infused, Aware, DT, and Epsilon. Talk about some of the oldest teams that have ever existed in Call of Duty esports. This kid's been around since 2012 competing, and he is probably the oldest player in this lobby, but everyone else barely making it to top 8s, a lot of top 16s, top 24s, and it's a young team. It's a young group of guys coming together with Watson essentially being at the helm of the IGL. We go into a game 5. Allie, what does that mean for a team that has one key veteran who's been around the scene for a decade competing at that level? I mean, Orbit and Infused were no pushovers. They were able to do quite a bit back in the day, but do you think it's going to be enough? Do you think that's the new meta now with players getting older and just saying we're going to surround ourselves with a group of guys?
It's actually one of my favorite setups, Spaceman. I'm so happy you asked me, because my favorite personal setup is to having a vet main AR and then just be surrounded by young guns and just kind of letting that veteran be that IGL. I don't know if Watson happens to be their main AR, but just that setup in general of having one veteran and being the IGL and kind of training the younger guns and training the younger players. That's one of my favorite setups, not to mention, this being our first time really seeing them. Orglis, I'm shocked that they brought them to the game 5. I can't wait to see what even happened to make that happen, because Orglis, we talk about them, they're one of the top teams. If not the top team in the EU region. So to see that, happen off of such a new team, I don't know how long they've possibly been together, but I mean, it's more than just, surprising them off the bat. It's more than just, you've never played us before, so everything we do is going to be new. You're not going to know how to respond to it. A game 5 against one of the top teams in the EU, that is more than just that.
Yeah, game 5 against the previous Season 2 champions of the Elite Series. And here's how the maps looked for this entire matchup. And we have those ready for you because, listen, we're going to game 5, and it's not something that I think many would have expected in their predictions. Orglis are your Season 2 finals champions of the Elite Series, and they were there for a reason because Vortex and Nasty are absolutely filthy. We know they're probably the best sub duo in Europe. And Josh, who has just been electric after coming down from his coaching role. But Amelia Strays won the first hard point. They won it 250-239. Orglis responded in the S&D. Amelia take another respawn. Orglis take the final hard point. And now we go into map 5 of Miami. Fox, looking at the series across the board, yes, we're jumping into this final map as the first look at these two rosters for this season. But you're looking at the previous Season 2 champions who got taken to task in the hard points, and they finally got one back, but Control was also a staple of this Orglis team. Now we go to Miami S&D, which can be fickle for many teams. What are you expecting going into this?
I'm seeing a 250 to 82 victory from Orglis in the previous map. I mean, you show up to the airport and checkmate and get sent packing. That can't feel good as we come into a game 5. Amelia Strays, I've also gotten to see a little bit of these guys play. I believe it was Maverick that ended up defeating them in order to qualify for this season of the Challengers Elite Series. I'll have to double check on that and get back to you. But we have seen these guys compete against some of the other competition in the European region qualifying for this stage. I still got to say, realistically speaking, they are outclassed. I think that we see Orglis pull it together and come out with a victory in game 5.
Yeah, I think for anyone going against Orglis, the sentiment we always brought across on stream was shut down Vortex, shut down Nasty, take away the sub duo, you'll have an easy time, try to steal a respawn if you can. Now we go into this game 5, Ali, and for Watson and company, or for Amelia Strays, I should say, I think the factor here again has to be how well does Watson himself direct traffic for this team, because Miami is about as open as Arklov Peak and Verdansk put together. I mean, there is many different ways you can set up as an offense, and with post-plant positioning, it's going to come down to the ARs. Can they pick people off roaming through mid? I think you need a strong IGL, which Watson can bring, right?
Yes, but I'm looking at the duo of Harry and Josh in S&D, and I'm also looking at that 6-2 in that raid S&D, and I'm thinking Orglis all the way. Huge for Amelia to, make it this far into this series, but after looking at that map count and knowing what the duo of Josh and Harry could do on the map, and then I don't see too much light at the end of the tunnel here going into this S&D, not to mention that hardpoint stat line of 250 to 82. So, Fox, it looks like we're going to jump right into this game 5.
All of my friends at home, if you're just tuning in, before we hop into our next scheduled match in this broadcast for the European region, we're seeing the conclusion of a matchup between Amelia Strays and Orglis. They find themselves on Game 5 in Miami Search and Destroy. Our team here, Orglis of Josh, Nasty, Harry, and Vortex. These guys were our Season 2 Finals champions. So this is the toughest of the toughest, the cream of the crop, and they find themselves in Game 5 against a newer addition to the region. So let's see how it all unfolds. The first 30 seconds of this gameplay is all unfolding on the A site, as that's where the bomb carrier Chaxter is going to be moving.
Already a little bit of damage on both sides, but nobody falls yet. As soon as I say that, Vortex finds the first blood on the side of Orglis. Now that information's going down, Nasty's going to push up and get him off with Bomb, and the Harry is able to finish it up. 2v3. Bomb is now down on the site, and I'm sure that they have that information as the rest of Orglis starts rotating through their spawn.
Oh, big kill from Vortex right there. One player creeping up around the corner is sent falling down. One still on site, though, is Piero trying to find the flank. Shut down just that quickly, of course, being outnumbered. We will see Orglis find the first round win. And again, Orglis, we got to talk more about Josh. We got to talk more about Harry. I know you both hyped up this duo quite a bit here. If anyone at home has ever had the pleasure of watching Josh, a longtime veteran for the European region, play Call of Duty, this man does not stop talking. The way that this man's mind works in Call of Duty is just unmatched. He's just a brilliant player to see play, and I'm looking forward to see how his roster closes it out here in Game 5. However, on the opposite side, Amelia Strays, we got Watson, also a longtime veteran in the European region.
You are absolutely right. As Bomb is making its way towards the A site, number 4, that's going to be Watson left on his own to hopefully play his life and get that information to allow the rotation to come through. A little bit of some slower gameplay coming out of both teams, as Amelia not looking to budge without any of the information of where Orglis is, but trust me, they know that, as it looks Josh is going on a hunt to maybe get a couple picks, but Watson, he gets the information. Now what do they do? Looks like Piero and Nuke are going to try and make this rotation through mid to help his teammates on the A site.
This is going to be tough. They're not getting Watson here alone. They're going to need someone to catch him off guard. They're going to need some support over the shoulder. You see it unfolding here. It's Vortex with Nasty in the back line, but he doesn't really give Nasty too much of an opportunity to help him out. He ends up losing the one-on-one engagement, and Watson and Piero just tuck further and further back into the corner on A site. Bombs down on site, which spells danger for the remaining Orgless players. That's going to be Josh alongside Nasty. Let's see what they do at this time. Clock's ticking, 13 seconds left.
Great composure out of Watson. He knew that bomb was down and needed to get picked up, so he laid in wait like a tiger waiting for its prey. Amelia able to now tie us to S&E. We're still very early into this game as both teams start feeling each other out going into the rest of these rounds. But Jax, we're going to watch him get a little pick on Josh on the A side. Orgless played it a little slow and something a little out of character for them, but I feel like we're going to see them fall a bit into place as we keep going.
Every map of Search and Destroy is different when it's in Game 5, right? We're going to see both of these players kind of act a little bit out of character, I'm sure, sometimes, as they've had a long, grueling series against the enemy roster. Of course, feeling them out, getting an idea as to their play styles. We see a 3-man hit towards the A site, leaving one behind this Watson to overlook middle map, checking the cross. Not a whole lot of noise, not a whole lot of competition. So I wonder how that's going to affect the way that they aggressively play up onto the site here. It's just Josh all on his lonesome, but he's made his presence known, and they're still committing to it regardless. They know they have numbers.
Love the aggressive push out of Josh to try and get him off of that bomb plant, but unfortunately not able to get any through. So bomb will go down, but I mean the cavalry has come in for Orgless. They're going to start pushing their way through the defensive line of Amelia as Vortex is trying to get this angle. He knows this player's in this corner, but he can't catch the right time. Now he finally does. Trades go through. One alive on the side of Amelia. Watson is all up to you. If any player's going to do it, it would have been him as Harry shuts him down. Harry 3-1. Hot start out of him for sure as the bomb does hopefully get defused.
Swift retake right there from Orgless, as we saw Watson way out of position, and the player Nuke, who was sat out on the boat, currently 0-3, was not able to connect with enough shots and do enough damage. Did not buy Watson the time that he needed to contribute to this play, and we see Orgless just quickly collapse on the site and close it out. So credit to them, taking the initiative, keeping their foot on the gas.
It's interesting to see the flip side of both teams as Josh gets the information of the players there and he instantly makes that rotation into mid to hopefully get the angle, as Watson, when he got that information, just stayed kind of in the same place to bait that out. So different play styles on both sides. Nuke, unfortunately, sitting at 0-3. He's having a little bit of a slow start. The rest of his teammates, so a little bit even across the board. Orgless, though, again, Steve Vortex 2-1, Harry 3-1. Bombs is going towards the A site, and that's going to be answered by Nuke and Watson, who are set up in mid.
Bit of a flip this time as we see 3 from Orgless go towards the beach, and they leave 1 behind. But we do see the side of Amelia Strays are playing further towards the middle of the map than Orgless was. Of course, because of how slow the push from Orgless is, they end up being able to get set back up in their position. Josh finding a kill as a lurker is huge for them, because now that dictates the flow of the map as they get to decide which site they want to go to. Whichever one they pick, they'll come through with a man advantage. Nuke is in position, but he's not quite able to connect with enough to finish off the bomb carrier. Tac Mask saves him as well. Looks like the bomb will go down despite Nuke's wishes. And he's also headshotted off of his position by Nasty. Big stop right there as they maintain dominance on the A site. The rotation comes through from the remaining player, Piero, but being outnumbered, he's taken down.
Josh not only finding the lurker, but then backing up into his spawn and just pre-aiming the rotation out of Amelia from the B site was just a beautiful thing to watch on the mini-map, because I just watched him back up and pre-fire it and able to get both kills. It's just, I mean, he made it look easy. Orgless definitely makes Search and Destroy look incredibly easy, as Josh is now 4-2 and Harry is 4-1. I talked about these these two as a Search and Destroy duo, and they are proving exactly why they are.
Absolutely. And Josh, I mean, he's a machine. Absolute machine. Just a brilliant, brilliant mind for the game. Keeping Nuke J Killless up to this point in the Search and Destroy. The next offensive front is on B, as we see several players on the side of Amelia Strays commit to it. Most of them sitting outside of the action, and the kills still go in favor of Amelia Strays. It's just going to be Harry left in a 1 versus 3. Bombs going down as he connects with shots on one player, but you got to imagine he's not in a position to do a whole lot of damage here.
If I want anybody in a 1v3, it's gonna be Harry, as he does get that 1 kill with the nade. But Bomb is down. He has a lot of work to do here with 30 seconds on the clock. Does he catch Piero? I think he saw his head as he's shooting him in the toes. He takes him down. He knows where the last player is. Come on, Harry. You have 23 seconds. You gotta take down Watson laying down. He sees him. He's tagging him up, but he's unable to finish the kill. good stuff out of Watson to be able to finally shut him down, but definitely scary there in the last few seconds.
Yeah, for sure. And opting not to play for those score streaks. He was making good progress too with at least 5 kills in a row right there. He ends up being taken down, refusing to let the bomb detonate. Of course, there's 2 remaining players alive on the enemy team. Orglis just finds their lead. Still sat pretty at just 1 above the enemy team. Nuke has yet to contribute in the kill column. We'll have to see how that unfolds. It looks like he might have some time to come back here. I think the search and destroy could go the distance, just the way that both of these teams are playing. And it looks like we see a commit towards the B site here. With 2 enemy players inside of Amelia Strays to answer to it.
Harry looking to hopefully catch Chaxter's head, but unfortunately unable to do so, as we're seeing a bit of a complete commit to the B site here. We haven't yet to see that from Orglis on the offensive, so all 4 players here are trying to force their way into Garage. That's going to be Nuke, though, inside of Amelia, left on his own kind of at A, and I feel like they kind of have this information. Chaxter, he's unable to take down one, and we might see a full rotation now from Orglis because they got those shots. That's exactly what's going to happen as Bomb starts to make its way through mid. Chaxter finds one off rotation, but he has to run as all of the blue arrows are going to try and shoot him in the back.
Orglis, they start to pull away, but they end up losing a player for it. We also saw Josh in this round with the Milano in hand. I've seen him use that class before, but it's usually just to find an opening route. He's playing out the remainder of the round with it this time and has yet to find a kill. Putting 2 on the board right there towards the end there before being taken down as Amelia Strays in the end is still able to tie it up at 3-3. And it seemed like there was some sort of fatal error in this push towards the Garage from those Orglis players. I mean, it was just shut down way too easily, right?
It was just the Chaxter because he was able to get that 1 player off rotation and kind of threw Orglis a bit off their feet as they were hoping probably to kind of go fully into mid and go over to the A site. But, I mean, again, Amelia, we have to give them credit here. Nuke is 0-6, and yet they are still tied up 3-3 in that search and destroy round. So they are definitely hanging on here and putting Orglis to the test.
Bomb carrier Chaxter moving on his lonesome towards the A site. But of course, we're still seeing both of these teams play for that first blood. Long-range engagements on middle map here. Watson looking for Josh in the distance, but he's not going to find him just yet. No one's home. Both sites still heavily guarded in a 2-2 split. As we see on the mini-map, things are unfolding towards the A site. Chaxter has opted to stay over here. It would be dangerous for him to die on his own, only because of how much more time it would take off of the clock, as we're dwindling down with 45 seconds remaining. It looks like they're making moves towards it. He's being so aggressive here. They could be around the corner anywhere. And this 1 player on site could be the difference maker to make everyone from Orglis rotate, Ali.
Amelia kind of was forced to commit here because Watson was trying to get the information on B. He was trying to use his tacticals and try to see if he could catch anybody for the rest of his team. And that's what kind of forced Amelia onto that A site because he wasn't able to find anybody. So they blindly had to kind of force their way in. And it ends up working out a bit in their favor in the end now as Orglis is in a 2v3. Bomb will go down and only hurts Nuke, unfortunately. But Harry and Josh, 2v3. I mean, if any duo is going to do it, it's going to be this duo. But Watson has something to say about it. AC takes down both Josh and Harry on his own. Amelia now, for the first time in this S&D, has gone up in rounds 4-3.
Watson on your round and kill cam with the best play is able to find the lead change for his team at a distance. We've seen so many AR battles on this map unfold that way. Players just kind of getting caught off guard and pieced up. 3 or 4 quick straight rounds will do it as Watson continues on his 6th streak. Just that last round, we see Nuke, who was enjoying the scenes for most of this map, finds his first kill on the board, and his team pulls up in the lead. And so now it's just going to be another offensive round from Orglis. But, I mean, Watson, he's dangerous right now, Ali.
Absolutely. I mean, sitting at 9-3, he's definitely playing enough for 2 players as he kind of needs to. As Piero's only 2-5 and Nuke is only 1-6. That's scary if you're Orglis, that not even all players on Amelia are firing on all cylinders and they're up on search and destroy on you. So definitely some scary stuff out of that as Piero's trying to get a couple shots into some heads on Vortex, Josh, and Nasty. He isn't able to find one, but now definitely has that information that they're trying to make this commit to the B site.
And so they leave Watson all on his lonesome at the A site, as most of the pressure ends up being towards the B site. It sucks when you don't end up having your strongest player with the hot hand in the action, but that's just the luck of the play call here. And Orglis finding that first kill puts themselves in such a great advantage to maybe handle the pressure of Watson on the opposite site a bit better should it come to that, because now they do have the option to rotate through the middle map and get to that bomb site. We'll have to see how it plays out. They have to know he's waiting. They don't. Watson catches Vortex off guard, continuing the streak.
They had to know somebody was at the A site, and if it would be anybody, it would be Watson, and now they are getting punished for it. 10 seconds on the clock. Bomb needs to go down. Nasty is in a panic mode as he's trying to get away from the shots. Amelia.Stray is now in match point in this Game 5 search and destroy. What was supposed to be an easy sweep for Orglis is now struggling as Watson and the rest of Amelia are starting to punish them.
The newcomers in the EU region are putting up a real fight on day one of this week for the Challenger Series. We're seeing Amelia.Strays looking to topple the Giants in their first series that are Orglis. On the roster of Orglis, we're seeing Nuke starting to contribute in the later rounds of this game, but it hasn't even mattered in the end of in this grand scheme of things, as Watson has been able to really just pull away in whatever way he wants throughout this map. Lots of shots down range, pulling so much information for his team to start the play, to contribute to play calling. You have to imagine that a lot of the Amelia.Stray success that we're seeing amounts to his contributions in game and in communication.
I completely agree. I can only imagine how much he is doing watching him on the map. I mean, he plays for information and he lets his teammates know. He is 11-3. He's on an 8 streak. I mean, he is doing everything on the map that he can to get them this win on this map 5. And now he's going to call streaks and get that information for his teammates as they're looking to get the control over the A side. And that's forcing all of Orglis to kind of go inside and back up as they hear the streaks start pouring in.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to see that Watson throughout this entire map, as we see what is potentially the final bomb plant 4 versus 3 situation. Watson, this whole game has had more kills than everybody on his team combined, but they're looking to upset that right now as Nuke finds himself on 3 kills in a row. More missiles are raining down from the sky. They don't connect with anything, but they buy them time, and time is what Orglis needs more of as it's dwindling away. 30 seconds on the clock. Nuke playing so defensively, just waiting for anyone to hop on the objective. He ends up catching one off guard. The poor soul of Vortex ends up falling. It's a 1 versus 3 situation, and Amelia.Strays closes it out in Game 5 against our Season 2 champions, Orglis.
I mean, 3 in a row. I almost wish he held his streak just a little bit longer because there was still 30 seconds and he called that Hellstorm just like a little early, but it was insurance, and insurance is what got them the win, as we're going to watch Watson take down Harry, one arguably the best USD players. And I'm mind blown. Space, you watched that all happen from the outside. We watched it in game. Watson is a one-man army. And I mean, of course, Chaxter was doing things on the map. Nuke and Pyro, they were kind of falling behind, but Watson was just shutting Orglis down on his own.
I have decided that nothing is going to script today, and it's all just being thrown in the bin. It makes no sense.
Write that down.
Everything's messed up. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on, but we came in and said, hey, Watson, you got to be really good. You got to be the IGL. What does he do? He says, you know what? I'll take it from here. Backpack? What is that, Corinthian leather? Who cares? I'm jumping in it. And everybody else just fell into form, baby. Oh, my God. The Season 2 champions dropped down early. They lose the first series. This was not what we expected, guys. I mean, what is today been? All Game 5s, all of upsets, even though Allie called Obtain correctly. Well done, Allie. Everything else just, I mean, Watson, IGL, that is how you play as a veteran, and that is how you rally troops around when you have such a young roster. Fox, 3 rounds in a row. Oh my God. Talk to me about that S&D.
Man, we saw them get worked by Watson, constantly playing those long-range angles and coming out on top, finding those awkward spots to hold a line of sight and just catch someone with 3 rounds in their back. I mean, he was just always there when they didn't need him to be. Orglis, I think that we saw a much more well-rounded effort, especially because of the fact that we saw their opponents Nuke killless for most of that map, but it just wasn't enough. They couldn't shut down the key players. They weren't able to get a lock onto the positioning of players like Chaxter and players like Watson.
And Allie, I mean, real quick, you look at Orglis dropping here. Yeah, it's week 1. We understand, and it's only one series. It goes to game 5, so game differential, if it's ever a factor in terms of determining seeding, it's still better than losing 3-0. But what do you think this does for the region? Showing that the number 1 team can bleed and that they can fall, and that a young squad who came out of nowhere decided that today was the day they're going to take down the best team in Europe.
I mean, Europe continues time and time again to just pump out these incredible players that we've never seen before or heard of. I mean, time and time again, we have these teams and come out and just start stomping on who we, perceive to be the best in the EU region. And I think what this says, especially for Amelia, especially for them to win in such a fashion of one player kind of doing everything and the rest of his teammates. I mean, I also want to give props to the fact that it's hard, it's hard to be a player where you're leaning so much on somebody else, and it's hard to listen to that because, a lot of these players want to show what they can do and show off and kind of go on their own. And I think for Amelia, for them to kind of listen to Watson and let him do what he needs to do to get them a win is huge for the side of them. So I'm excited to see the rest of the players kind of step up and fall into place.
Yeah, I am too. I think that this is a team that if they keep riding that IGL and they allow Watson to kind of direct traffic like we talked about, you never know what a young group of 3 with such a powerful AR and Watson can do and what he can bring to the table. But let's look at the schedule for today, because that was a conclusion around of our first couple of matches here on the European side of the stream. It was Obtain beating Team War in game 5 up first. We hop in, we watch Orglis drop their first series, but Amelia Strays are proving that they are a force to be reckoned with. And coming up right after this quick break, we have Mavericks versus Amelia Strays. So will they stay on that hot streak, or will Mavericks come in with Eric Boom in hand, and will they bring out the broomsticks? And then Eastern built by Gamers for North America, and then yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Parasite, thank you, versus UT Crew to round out day 1 of this first day of stage 3. But guys, just a quick roundup before we get it out of here and we get into our next series. How are you feeling about Europe so far? Anything standing out to you as opposed to the first couple of seasons?
Man, this is exciting. We've seen such a top-heavy performance from this region, and we're seeing some of the top dogs get toppled here early on in the season. I'd love to see more of it. I'd love to see the competition grow. Later on today, as we get into North America, we're going to see some newcomers in the region as well, as some players are getting pulled up to the Pro Division. We're seeing some new organizations from the Franchise League and the Challenger Series. Europe and North America, the Challenger Series really got it going on right now.
Allie, your thoughts?
I'm excited that we've had 2 game 5s today. I mean, I'm excited the competition is still hot. Nobody likes, a clean 3-0, except maybe for the audience. But it's definitely some fun matches to watch. It's exciting. It keeps everybody on their toes. So, I can't wait. I hope the rest of today goes the same.
I'm excited for it. We're going to throw it to a commercial break, and when we come back, it's Mavericks and it's Amelia Strays, and we'll see if that team can stay hot right after the break. Welcome back, Call of Duty fans, and it's the day number 1 of week 1 of the Challengers Elite Series. This is season 3, and we've just concluded part 1 of Europe, and up next, it's part 2 and the finale of our first day here on the broadcast. We got Mavericks and Amelia Slays, or Strays, excuse me. Slays works too, because they're just firing on all cylinders, but my God, this team is interesting to watch, and more importantly, they're fun to watch as well. Of course, I'm joined by Fox and Alley Cat, and guys, here's the maps. Here is exactly what the series is going to look like, and we're getting right into the action. And I want to know what they've picked. Well, it's basically been the same thing. It's Raid, Miami, and Checkmate across the board. Raid for Hardpoint first, Miami for our first S&D second map, Checkmate in that big chunk in the middle, and Raid closing. Allie, looking at the maps across the board, we just saw Miami S&D, on which Amelia Strays took it. What are you expecting out of this series, and do you think that's going to be a good map pick and mode for them?
Going off of what I saw from their previous series, I do expect Amelia Strays once again to be a bit dominant on Miami after especially coming off of a hot streak, taking down Orglist. And it's one of those things of like, even though they're a newer team and they were making a couple mistakes, we have to take into account the team that they were playing. So now going against Mavericks, you know, another newer team, it's kind of like, you have these teams played each other like off screen? Have they had scrims before? Do they have that experience against each other? Because neither of these teams is really going to have that surprising factor as they would against some of these older teams. So I think it'll be one of those 3-2, 3-1 series that we've already seen today. Most of our games go to game 5. I also expect this one to probably go the distance.
Yeah, and Fox, we take a look at this Mavericks roster, and these are storylines that we'll get into as the series goes on. But just to take a quick look at the rundown, I mean, you have Sukri who runs that AR, and he was known back on Giants Gaming, back on the original Heretics dynasty in like 2019 when they had qualified for the Pro League, and they started off at 5-0, and then he gets replaced, and then Yako comes in. He was originally on Giants as well, and Black Ops 4 moved to Trainhard. Eric Boom, who played recently with Trainhard for a couple of weeks, his stock kind of fell, then he jumps off that team, comes to this roster, now it's going back up. There's a lot to talk about with this team, and I think a lot of people are excited to finally see them in the Challenger Series.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on with them, of course, coming through under the Mavericks brand, being a part of Marmenor and La Liga. This is an esports This is a global esports organization, right? And they're finding their spot in our European region here. They have to have done their research for the history of Sukri in our competitions. They have to know what this investment's going to do for them.
Yeah, and we look at, I believe our third map will be Checkmate for Control. And just watching how Mavericks played it earlier, I was able to peek in on a match off stream. I believe they were playing 3G, and they like to run 3 subs pretty often until it gets to around that P2, that back NASA setup, and then they move off that and they move to a Krieg when they feel like they have spawns locked down. So their control is something I'm going to be keeping an eye on. But going into this series, before we hop in, Allie, quick prediction: who are you taking and why?
Oh god, I don't have too much information on the background of Mavericks so far, so I don't want to lose my predictions today because I'm already up on 1. Okay, I'm gonna favor Amelia just because of the showing that I did see. I'll probably end up biting my tongue later, but I'll put it on record that I think Amelia will continue their hot streak.
Well, Allie, I thank you so much as always for your insight. Amelia Slays, more like it. I hate my life. Amelia Strays up against Mavericks. Let's get it going. Allie, bid you adieu and welcome it, Fox. I'm excited to get into this series with you, brother. This is the start or the conclusion of day 1 of Europe. And man, 2 teams going head to head. For Amelia Strays coming off that hot win in game 5, but for Mavericks, a stacked roster of 4. I can't wait to watch Eric Boom do his thing.
Yeah, man, got to watch a little bit of Yako. He likes posting his clips on Twitter, especially as they were coming up to their qualification just in the recent few days on the 17th. So seeing them face off against Amelia Strays, who are coming off of a hot finish of Game 5, taking down our Season 2 champions in the European region. This is going to be a good one to watch for the night.
I mean, you even look back to 2019 when Yako was on Giants Gaming and Black Ops 4, and many were asking, is he going to be the next pull-up to the league? And you have Sukri, who, again, was on that dynasty of a Heretics roster, started out 5-0 in the Pro League in the CWL before eventually they would start to crumble a little bit. But it was an impressive showing, and these players have been around the gauntlet a couple of times, and off the opening couple of breaks, it has been a lead for Amelia Strays, continuing that hot start they had at the end of the last series. And now we look for a rotation over to P2 and Kitchen, and it's Watson set up early inside.
Watson sat inside money. We saw just how crucial this hill was, not just for the kitchen hardpoint, but also basketball court. Really just this entire top corner of the map is just locked down from a position like that. You can weave so easily back and forth between both of the lanes, but you see the pressure when it comes through from mid can just be overwhelming. Submachine gun players like Eric Boom are able to come through and do so much damage alongside Sukri. 4 kills for 3 of the players on the side of Mavericks to start to pull themselves closer into this game, dig themselves out of this deficit with a 20-second difference. The gunfights are still going down on hardpoint, though, as the competition lays into this scrap time here. 2 more coming into the face of Super, and he's able to respond, swatting them down like flies alongside Sukri. Big stop right there for them to secure the scrap time. We're going to see our first lead switch, and we're also rotating the garage hardpoint.
It was a quality lead for Amelia Strays, but they continue to push that last hill and on the rotation. They don't have numbers here. The spawns were all the way back at basketball court, so the break is easy for Mavericks. Yako, 5 and 6 on your screen, and have to do a lot of work as that front sub, but tries to whip out the secondary, not going to be able to find the kill, and the break comes in. Mavericks still trying to push numbers through inside of Jim. Chacter's able to cut down one. Amelia Strays is getting a lot of resources to the very front driveway, but Watson in hand finds ways to pick off numbers, and still you're looking at about a decent hold for Mavericks as they leave off in that first couple of kills and they have the early time.
Not safe just yet. 10 and 5. Pierro's working his way through from Art to Jim. He's going to meet Yako just around the corner, who has the support of a trophy system, which does nothing for the gunfire pouring through from that line of sight. The pressure is so much, it breaks them. It breaks through the setup, and Mavericks is forced to spawn out. So we should see the last 20 to 30 seconds go to Amelia Strays, as all efforts are now mounted towards getting the initial control of basketball court hardpoint. Remember how important I said money was? That's why we're seeing Yako push straight up through mid, into kitchen, straight through money to support his team on the hard point.
And this hill can be a bit of a money hill if you're able to lock down the time. More importantly, understand where spawns are coming from. For Amelia Strays, they had numbers there early, but Mavericks recognized the position they were in. They had to move through the back and be able to flood down the steps. So far, they've done it off the back of Eric Boom. He was able to find a kill. 7 and 7. 2 will be inside for the moment. Nuke tries to work through the back. He's able to pick up 1. Can't find the second or third kills, but numbers funnel through, and they're getting a 3-2 in the kill feed as trays are there, and all will fall. Mavericks doing a great job of holding off that first wave, and 79 now make it 81 and counting. They will get the lead back here, and they have been able to pick up a solid chunk of this hill off that initial break.
That's right, and right there we saw first blood went to Nuke J in that wave of engagements, and then it was just all 4 dead as Mavericks wiped the enemy team, lighting up that kill feed all white. 20 seconds remain as Mavericks pulls ahead with a lead change, 10 seconds ahead. Eric Boom with a double kill should seal the deal for the remaining time, but there is someone around the corner that will catch him on the rotation. We're going back towards middle maps. This player on pool playing this time, it looks like he's being read by Eric Boom, who wins the gunfight yet again. 5 straight for him. He's playing for his score streaks right now, or at least he should be, as he's moving up through pool. Play it carefully, though, as I'm sure Bedroom's going to be looking for you. Chaxter catches him off guard, shuts him down. I almost would have liked to see how that would have unfolded if he played for his life there.
Yeah, we reached our first set of hills in the end of this initial rotation. We moved to courtyard, and now you're going to have to look at Watson at 10 and 11. He's to, again, direct traffic for this young, talented squad. And Pierro and Chaxter and Nuke, you need them to start contributing a little bit more in the kill column as the trades start to fall on the outside of the hill. All white in the kill feed. Nuke's going to get isolated, but wins his big gunfight before Sukri comes in and cleans up the damage. Make that 2 in a row. Chaxter absolutely shut down. Watson stands no chance on the outside, and Zig is controlled, dominated, and won by Mavericks with 13 seconds now, Fox. We're looking at a rotation back to P1 on our second set of hills, and what a great start and a great end to that rotation for Mavericks.
60-second lead from them. Sukri's on a 5 streak. They're in a great position to get to this new set of hills. Unfortunately for them, Amelia Strays does find themselves in the initial setup, and surely Sukri has a giant target above his head. They have to know that he's coming from this direction. You see Nuke J sitting in Arch, just hugging the corner, waiting for him to do just that. So dumping some water on that fire was a major key right there, as we see Amelia Strays have been able to stop 2 players on their streaks as we rotate to new hills. They also are able to find a decent amount of hill time despite not having control of Laundry. Art has done them well so far.
Working on streaks, so that kill is pretty impressive, and more importantly, it'll help you down the stretch. It allows you just to play wall-to-wall gunfights, and at that point, it's about numbers in the hill. How do you win the individuals? And at this moment, 20 seconds to go, we will be taking a look at the rotation. The kitchen, Eric Boom is in, ready and waiting. The utility flies out, the nade will not connect, and the trades are there. As Amelia Strays rack up 3 on the transition, but Yako is able to escape into the back, so he's going to buy time for the rest of his teammates who spawn on the bottom side of the minimap. They now have to make the long rotation through mid and try to get into the hill to help help him out, but Yako is still alive, working the magic, and able to find the tag onto Watson, but might have done just enough time to get reinforcements into the hill.
Amelia collecting most of that hill time that we saw on the ring hardpoint. They find themselves right back in this game for another lead change. I mean, these guys have just been hot since we came into the second half. As soon as they were able to shut down Sucre, it's a competitive game once again. Watson making the difference, getting up close and personal with the Krieg in hand. He's certainly no slouch and no coward. Lots of hill time going to Amelia Strays once again, as we see much of Mavericks. They're forced back and spread out all over Art and middle map.
It's actually been great rotations and great early setups for Mavericks on these initial hills, but Amelia Strays continue to find 2-3 kills to chain them together, and they're finding easy breaks, which tells you that the guns on the opposite side are not quite matching that aggression. Yako at 14 and 20. Now the break from Chaxter. Look at your corners, finds 2, and there's the kill that'll trade it out at 156 and counting. Amelia Strays have hit the rotation early, and they're going to be set up for the next hill. I mean, look at your minimap. The 50-yard line completely cut off. Mavericks have to spend the next 10 to 15 seconds moving into the hill and finding the initial break. The biggest question will be, where do the kills fall? For Nuke, it comes through top bedroom. He eventually gets cut down. Mansion control will be there for Mavericks, and now they look for the pinch for both sides.
Pinch incoming. Piero playing his life with the Semtex just over his shoulder that fails to connect. The rest of the pressure coming through straight through the front door of the garage. The double wide doors, seeing 3 players flood straight through as they opt to forget about Jim. Of course, Piero, though, is going to see pressure from both sides as they come up off of their respawn. They're able to collapse and pinch onto him, pinch him there. 20 seconds remain on the hill. Mavericks are in control, and they're trailing by about 30 seconds, so they look to ease up that deficit a little bit as they rotate to the new hard point. But take a look at the left half of the top side of the mini-map towards the basketball court. We're seeing Amelia Strays. They're already set up for the basketball court, and we saw how well they've been able to hold down hills in the last few minutes once they get that initial time. So if you're a Mavericks fan, this is scary.
And for Mavericks, I mean, you do have a little bit of time to work with, but they can win it on this hill. So you're looking at 2, maybe 3 good pushes. You can't find the kills. Oh, it's all falling apart in the back, but Yako will stay alive. And now you have one rotating from Eric Boom at mid-map. They're going to have to cut through Kitchen if they're lucky. Nuke going to try to throw out a nade to tag 1. Super cuts him down. Numbers fall through the back. Eric Boom picks up a kill, and the collapse from the front might work out. No! Jaxter finds 3. Jaxter looking for Sucre on the opposite side, but the numbers fall so quickly. 220 to 178. You got one more good push if you're Mavericks, and that might be all she wrote for map 1.
Just got a triple kill standing still. I mean, Chaxter is just clearing out, wiping this hard point with the submachine gun. Great support from the team as well. Nuke J backing him up with some damage, and you see, of course, clearing out the remaining stragglers to this point. There's not quite enough time for Amelia Strays to put it away here, but there's certainly enough time to get to that closing point as they move to the final hard point on middle map. Only 5 seconds separate Amelia Strays from victory, and Mavericks are not poised to answer back at all here.
I want to know who put what in whose breakfast as Amelia Strays just smoke everyone off the map. Mavericks stood no chance in those final 2 hard points. Fox, a dominant closing to this game 1. Off the backs of Nuke and Chaxter, Sucre could only do so much, and what a way to rally the troops together for a series lead.
Oh yeah, man, just disrespectful plays at some points throughout that map. Sucre on middle map was just devastating. That submachine gun player had no answer to his questions, and he was just laying them down. I also want to give a huge shout out to our winning team. Throughout that map, they were able to stop the score streaks that we saw that were mounting, and those score streaks very easily could have turned the head of this very close, intense hardpoint.
Yeah, Sucre was working on it. He was like 15 and 10 at one point, maybe 2-3 kills away. They had great positioning inside that initial ring hard point. They're just getting one player towards the bottom of Art to be able to counteract his opposition on the opposite side. And you just kind of look at the positioning where Sucre was running in. I mean, you either get pinched from both sides or you win a big gunfight, which obviously he wasn't able to do. But at the end of that, man, again, Watson corralling the troops, and a huge shout out looking at the replays of this hard point. Nuke and Chaxter winning big gunfights, especially when they were moving through Gym. They were able to find 1 or 2 to open up the hill, and they always bought enough time for their teammates to be able to move through. It was an early position and setup each time for Mavericks, but it was always the late breaks and the quick time that Amelia Strays were able to find. I mean, Fox, it can't get more difficult than every time you think you have a solid hold, you just get it broken easily.
Yeah, there were so many moments where the players on the side of Amelia Strays, I was just going to say the submachine gun players, but it was even Watson, would just come through as a muscle and just power straight through. Look, you see it again from Chaxter here. He was able to cut straight through the gym and take over the power position behind Van and Garage. And we just saw it time and time again. This is the triple kill that we got to see unfold, to clear out the hard point and pave the way for the closing moments of that map. And it was just stellar coordination from Amelia Strays and explosive plays from people on the hill.
Now I believe we go to Miami S&D up next, and we just saw what Amelia Strays were able to do in the last series where they took it to game 5. They won 3 in a row to close it out, and this is the dangerous part. We talk about sometimes teams in specific matchups, they need to steal a respawn, they need to steal an S&D, give or take the situation of the series to have a chance. I honestly believe Mavericks need to be able to find this S&D win if they want to stay in this series and keep it a 1-1, but I'm telling you, Amelia Strays, when they start working together and they're getting the calls and they're hitting their shots, it's a dangerous roster. We need to start keeping our eye on them as they go to Miami S&D up next. And that means that if they go up 2-0, Fox, this could be a very dangerous start to season or to week 1 for Mavericks, even though they did take the win earlier over 3G. What are you expecting in this game too?
It's such a tough call, right? Because we're seeing these new teams pop in and they're able to take down players that we've seen contribute time and time again to the competition in the EU region, giving us excellent matches to watch. And so the question really is, like, how much have these guys taken away from their competition just a few days ago, right? The 16th and the 17th was a huge day for qualifications for some of these teams. They also had season 1 and season 2 to watch some of these top teams that would be their future competition. So I'm just wondering how much of this time has been spent by Amelia Strays to prepare to be in that upper echelon of competition. Of course, very early on, we're seeing Amelia Strays play their second matchup here of the season against Mavericks. I'm thinking that we see an Amelia Strays victory. Don't know how long it will take, especially because I don't know how much I trust the early predictions of Mavericks at this point, with them being so early in the league. But I do think that we see Amelia Strays take it by maybe 3-1.
You know, you bring up a good point, Fox. I would honestly bet my mortgage at some point that teams who have access to that kind of VOD review and who have access to that kind of film on players who have been in this league before, or players who in general have been around for a while. They see what works, they reconstitute it, and they put it in the package of their own team's personality, and they throw it right back at you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So far for Amelia Strays, pretty presentable and pretty easy going in the hard point, but hey, it worked out because you were finding 2-3 kills to chain them together, and the amount of multi-kills that you're able to work with really opened up the map. Now we go into S&D for game 2. Welcome everybody for just joining us. The second and final match of the day for Europe. It's Amelia Strays and Mavericks, and then off of a hot end of that game 5 win for Amelia Strays and a hot win in the hard point, we'll see if they're able to take it here in this game.
Team kill off the back as we see the players of Mavericks have overwhelmed the B bomb site and assumed control. Expect to see a bomb plant here shortly as it's coming down on the B site. The team kill does set them back a little bit, but with this big numbers advantage and Nuke J stuck in a 1v2, they should be able to work this to its conclusion. Nuke J does take position on the bomb site. It's a dangerous power position to be in because they have to check it if they want to make sure he's not getting the defuse.
Well, you have plenty of time. I mean, this is just a waiting game at this point. No reason to the challenge. Almost gets ripped off the heady. Nades keep flying out. Yako throwing shoulders at this point. They get caught. 18 seconds to go. The play has to be on Nuke. Move to the back. Won't be able to find the angle. A good hold as the bomb goes down. Post-plant positioning was there. And an easy round 1 win for Mavericks.
That's right. You saw the players playing behind the garage, just playing those angles, throwing shoulders around the corner, wasting the time of the offensive player. Of the defensive player, as they turned their offense into a defense and were able to just sit pretty and wait with the numbers advantage.
Everyone finding a kill in that first round. One was a team kill, so that's unfortunate, but there was a moment where Watson was rotating out of the beachfront and ran right through middle map and just got shot in the back. I'm not sure what the call was there. It was rather funny looking at it, but Eric Boom going to move up to the top of Piano, so you're looking for that first pick for Watts. He won't find it. However, he will get tagged in a horrible position, but now you know at least where that back AR is, so Mavericks have info, and Yako's going to push quite aggressively and finds the kill.
Yako moving it up. He's going to find a kill as he's rewarded for it. Swiftly punished as well as the trade does come through, and Amelia Strays find themselves up in the numbers advantage, 3 versus 1. Sucre heavily outnumbered on the opposite side of the map at this point, and really the map is just Amelia Strays to play at this point. He wants to find himself a pick so he can work the last 2 engagements as 1v1s. But coming into a site with a bomb plant as a 1v3 is really just curtains. It's definitely not over yet, but he needs to find something on his way to defuse this bomb.
Well, Sucre saw the island playing in the front of the van, so I would imagine he should have known that that bomb might just get called right over to B for a quick plant. If he challenges, maybe he gets the odd timing and is able to win this round, but everything else is about dead even, and that's going to be the positioning for Amelia Strays. They're going to even it up at 1-1. And so far, I mean, you talk about the start of this round, which did not look great. Watson gets tagged, but they had nowhere to go Alpha Pool side. They get stuck at the beachfront, but Fox, they picked up 3 kills. They made it a 1v4, 1v3. And at that point, it just looked like the round completely flipped in their favor.
That it did. They were in stellar positioning. Having the player on balcony to overlook mid was huge as a buffer for the 2 players that are actually playing defensively on the site to not only check for flanks, but also watch 2 key entry points to the site. So, just playing that post-plant positioning with the man advantage to a T, and they find themselves in this next round as we're tied up 1-1. Looks like we're seeing an offensive push towards the B-bomb site. 3 of the 4 players to the side of Mavericks are making a move as Sucre ends up falling on balcony. That can spell trouble for this offensive push.
What might be more trouble is how Eric Boom plays his under position. Right upstairs are 2 players of Amelia Strays and Super trying to open up the site, but Eric Boom goes in for the challenge. He will not win it. Numbers here for Amelia Strays. 1 more drop. Super able to pick up the kill. And with a 3v2 setup, Amelia Strays have room to move through, but Yako's getting very aggressive with that bomb. Nades fly out. Super picks up 1 more. And that bomb should be moving up to the site, but it's still hesitant as 2 members of Amelia Strays are at mid-street.
Bomb goes down on B. 2 versus 2 situation. Watson and Piero, they're closing in. Both sides of the site currently being accessed from them. 1 from middle map, 1 from the garage. They will be met with the 2 players on site for Mavericks. Yako and Super pre-aiming, ready and waiting. You see Yako is able to catch one with the quickness. No response so far as Watson, like a bloodhound, sniffing him out. He's not able to find him as he loses the trail. Playing on the site, though, he might get caught off guard. He turns around, Yako, with great hearing and attentiveness to his situation. The awareness is going to find him a kill and close out the round. And so we actually,
Watson.
Right, we saw that first blood from Watson off the start, and it looked like it was going to be trouble for them on the site there.
Yeah. Sometimes, again, the beauty of Miami is they can be so chaotic. Even when you think you have site control, 1 small breakdown in mid-map and everything falls by the wayside. But a 2-1 current lead, as Mavericks look like we're going to send 1 for the beachfront. Might be back visitors hold up as 3 members might move to B, and that would be the call. And that bomb's slow to move out, but nonetheless, making progress. Gonna check all the corners, and Shaxter has to be careful because Super is watching over, and Super absolutely understands the call. And now what do? How do you move that bomb up the beachfront? You have to worry about Sucre on the opposite side.
They're working their way out. Sucre, long range. He's finding some damage on. He's getting some damage done to him here. So he has to back up. And of course, relaying that information to the remaining Mavericks players. You see them start to hover towards A. Player 1 and 3 are close to the action. It's Super and Eric Boom. Super pulling the head off of an Amelia Strays player is going to be responded to in the form of Yako falling. Their objective player who has 2 plants to his name so far. They're now in a 3v3 matchup as the offensive side has committed to the A site. They have a trophy system down on site. They still got players playing so far away that can watch this objective, though.
Watson's rotating. Watson's hitting the hard flank. He's going to catch Sucre. Perfect timing. Amelia Strays were just buying time for him to get in position. Eric Boom will take him down. So there cuts off the information from the back. 2v2. Bomb will go down. Super at 4-1. Going to work to the top of visitors, and Nuke just picks up a great kill on the opposite side of the map. Now 1v2. Super knows where Nuke is. They should collapse in on his position. They're just going to throw nades out and play their life. And I don't know how he does this.
23 seconds left to do it, whatever it'll be. And a 1v2 with both players playing chicken. Playing their life so well. He connects with a stellar shot, pulling the head off of that player. Nuke falls. Now it's a 1 versus 1, but with 12 seconds left on the clock, you have to imagine that this is the end of it. We, of course, end up seeing Amelia Strays, the offensive team, take yet another or take their second round in this game.
Yeah, just got to play the time. It's as simple as that. Textbooked as ever. 2-2. Amelia Strays doing a nice job cutting down that back pressure, but getting the bomb down regardless. Eric Boom will bite the bullet on that one. And Nuke, who was basically sitting at mid-map for the majority of the round, easily 50 seconds even after the post plant, was able to find a kill or two. 2 and 3. Chaxer about dead even. Watson leading the charge on the opposite side. Super at 5 and 2 having a great game. Sub in hand. But Sucre, slow to start, was playing that back positioning at visitors and needed to find a couple of kills on the beachfront to cut down the advancement of the bomb. Was unsuccessful. And now, again, you just look at how the positioning will be as we have a split through the map for Mavericks, and it looks like A will be the call. Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh is right.
Don't hit that.
Making moves towards the A site. Just one player in their way is Watson, but he's a juggernaut of a single player to sit by himself at the A site. He's no stranger to this position. We've seen this setup from Amelia Strays on Miami SMB before. Watson is certainly a force with that AR, and he's making his presence known. He's able to force both Eric and the bomb carrier Yakko to really pump the brakes here. They're not even going to set up to get this bomb down because they know he's so close to it.
Well, Nuke is so far pushed up onto the site, and you have Chaxer on the opposite end waiting for the rotation, so the call needs to be, in the next 10 or so seconds, a move to B, because you know numbers are here at A. There only is really one option for you to plant at this point, but they're going to sneak their way forward, and that's off the back of Yakko, who gets a kill. And so far, here is the decision. Bomb goes down. Never mind. It gets cleaned up 15 seconds ago. Collapses there. Amelia Strays have all of the numbers here. Super out of position. And it needed to move up a little bit quicker. That bomb took its time. And as numbers settled into their positions and sat and waited for information, you lost map control. And that is why this round will go to Amelia Strays.
For sure. I think that what we saw right there was that Mavericks highly overestimated the grip that they had on the A site. They overestimated how long it was going to take Super to come through and contribute to the play. He was sat back garage, kind of twiddling his thumbs, hoping to find someone that's still on the old site, but everyone was committed to A. Of course, it's a lot easier for us to know that when we can see through walls here for Codcaster, but that's the way that the round unfolded, and we see Amelia Strays pull up in the lead by 1 round.
And you had Chaxter overextend all the way to the top of Piano, and he was waiting for anything to develop. It did not happen. You pull that sub back into the play, and you're allowed to give up that number if it means you still have information. Rather have the AR back at the site. The stuns fly out. Look at the numbers currently as Mavericks are on the beachfront, and they have essentially pinched Amelia Strays onto the site. But it comes down to the trades and the kills to open this one up.
Piero playing so carefully around the balcony with the support of his trophy system because he knows he'll be met by fierce opposition just around the corner. Typically, you'll see an AR player sat and ready to take that shot. Not needed just yet, as Yakko will be the one to fall. Eric Boom sat at a distance with the Krieg. This is what I'm talking about, locking down the dumpster alley. He ends up traded, but he does come out with a kill to his name and some damage. 2 versus 3 now, as it looks like the bomb is still committed towards the B site.
4 seconds, bombs down, but Amelia Strays are there. They read it perfectly. And Fox, even on that engagement from Eric Boom and Garage, I'm thinking the same thing I was thinking in the start of that hard point. For every kill that Mavericks find, Amelia Strays finds 2. For every 2 kills, Amelia Strays finds 3. It just always seems like there's always a trade there just in case. And that number differential, that advantage the Amelia Strays give them in the late rounds, the end game, the win condition comes down to trades. And they always find a way to get it done, even when it's 3v2, and that's still winnable. It seems like there's always a presence around the site where they can easily trade it out if they get crunched in.
Exactly, and that presence comes in the form of cooperation. These players playing alongside one another so well, always with the support. You see Eric literally looking over the shoulder of that player with an AK-74U as they tiptoe through bottom Piano. All the gunfights are going to go down all at once here, I'm sure, though, as Watson finds 2 close range on the staircase. Big kills coming from the Krieg player, who gets away with his life and a submachine gun for his troubles. Still being tagged up, he's able to get away, slipping out of the combat with 2 kills to his name. Big defensive play from there as the bomb is down on site. Now it's going to be up to the remaining Amelia Strays players. The remaining Mavericks players. Try and pick that bomb up and pick up where they left off, because Watson certainly left them at a bloody end.
cannot emphasize how important it was for Watson to escape with his life. They know where bomb is. You just play the angles now. Piero's not going to give up this line of sight. In 30 seconds to go, you have to put a plant down. You have to win this 1v3. And all the numbers collapse. Amelia Strays drops no one. They go up 5-2. And they are knocking on the door of jumping on a series lead 2-0 in a fashion that not many expected.
Look at Watson playing the close angles with the Krieg. This man is fearless. Map after map, he finds himself in the face of some of the more aggressive submachine gun players in the other team, and he comes out on top. And I mean, this guy just in this match so far, he just always knows where to be.
I mean, you talk about the construction and the composition of a roster. This kid's been around since 2012, playing on teams like Orbit, Infused, Aware, Dream Team, back with Killa, Epsilon. I mean, every single possible combination of old school Call of Duty, all the variations of gameplay, he's seen it. And it's really showing out here, and he's leading his team to a possible 2-0 series lead and a very good start to stage 3 of Challengers. Shaxter will get the bomb down. We have about 60 seconds on the clock for this entire round to develop. Piero cuts down one more. And is it really more fitting? 4 versus 1, 4 versus none. A 6-2 and a quick round to close it out. And a 2-0 series lead. Amelia Strays are stomping their way through day 1.
That they are. Amelia Strays, what an introduction to Season 3. These guys came through ready to play, and they're putting on a show, taking down some of the toughest competition and delivering fierce, devastating blows in Search and Destroy. Watson, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of him in our upcoming replay for that map, but man, what a force he was.
I mean, talk about not only winning big gunfights, right? Playing the close angle with the Krieg, which is pretty hard to do that, especially when you have numbers flying from the top of the staircase. But understanding his positioning once the play kind of breaks down, once you have numbers, it was a 3v2. He picks up a kill and he dips out of dodge. He stays alive. And that means they can pressure through mid-map, Fox. Like, it's small plays like that that don't show up on the stat sheet that make the most impact in S&D. And he was just, again, a perfect IGL, directing the traffic, directing the chaos for the rest of his team. Piero was holding that back dumpster corner. No question he's going to leave that spot. Just a well-executed S&D. And, I mean, what more can you say, Fox?
Yeah, I mean, it was really just Watson dancing around the defense. He's really just kind of maneuvering his way in between the players as he wished from start to finish throughout that map, catching players on the long flank when he needs to shut down the ARs in the back line, getting up close and personal to the submachine gun players. When you have someone with that do-it-all mindset that can follow through and actually do it all, you get map results like that. Loading into our next map, it's going to be Checkmate Control. We're seeing Amelia Strays with a 3-map win streak so far today, coming off of that Game 5 victory against our Season 2 champions, and they're looking to take it in a 3-0 fashion here.
You know, now I'm actually interested to know, will Mavericks run the 3-sub setup? Sorry, just getting stuff, make sure we're all good to go. But Mavericks, I want to know if they're going to be running the 3-sub setup like they've been doing before on this map. Usually, Eric Boom will pull out the Krieg where things get dicey, but so far, I mean, Yako sub in hand, it looks like it's about dead even across the board. Sukri will be running the Krieg 6. And, well, here's the new rules for Control. As, of course, the names are switched on the top, so don't worry, we'll keep you updated. But Control works like this. In overtime now, it's about ticks and not entire kills. So if you get more ticks than the opposite team, that means you play defense in overtime. That's all that really matters. Just get more ticks. It rewards players getting on the objective instead of trying to wonder how many kills do we have, how many do we need to get to possibly get on defense.
Yes, so if you're just tuning in and you're maybe confused, the roster on the side of Amelia Strays are currently up 2-0 in the series. Our graphic is backwards at the moment, so just keep an eye out for those red arrows on the mini map. That is going to be the white arrows on the mini map are going to be your winning team that have themselves at match point. So as we are watching the continued capture of Zone A, it looks like Mavericks are set up to take it over here. Making that progress is going to be huge as to adding more time on the clock. They have 20 seconds to work with as it's frozen, but moving over to the B site, which is one of the more difficult ones to secure, they need every second that they can get.
You got Eric Boom with sub in hand, so that's good things if you're a Mavericks fan. That rhymes. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Chaxter is able to pick up 1, and Piero will clean up the 2nd. So you're looking for Amelia Strays to lock down some spawn kills. So far, they've been able to isolate all of Mavericks. Now it just comes down to cleaning up your dirty dishes. And so far, they've been dealing the pain as Super cleans down Chaxter. Everything drops. It's about dead neutral going to the plane. And we go here on the first round of map 3. A has been captured, and Amelia is desperately looking for some positioning at mid-map.
We got our white arrows swarming around the plane right here to finish off the remaining players on the hard point. Last one alive is going to be number 3, Eric Boone. Is actually watching them coming up off spawn. It's a big double kill to maintain control of the plane. He, of course, ends up falling after he's traded. I think if he played his life right there, that could have been huge for the remaining red arrows coming up off spawn.
Only got 6 lives left from Amelia Strays, 5 for Mavericks. Now dead even. Super's going to be in on the point. And it comes down to the collapse. You have numbers spread out for Amelia. Super has been unchallenged. He's going to get the first tick through. If he's cheeky enough to challenge Chaxter, he might win the gunfight, but Chaxter has better shots, throwing better shoulders. 2 will fall. Eric Boom with a massive double kill. And 3-2.
So we're seeing control on the point, progress being made. Of course, people hopping in, defending it to try and stop it. Chaxter looking to make a difference, but he's being tagged up. And you see the maneuverability and how much it benefits you when you're moving around the plane. You're able to really just bob and weave and pop into the objective when you need to. 8 seconds remaining on the clock as no one has been able to step foot on it. Super hoping to make a difference here for his team. Without support, he's going to be in a 1 versus 2, though. Chaxter and Piero closing in. He wins the first 1-1. Cannot finish the job for the second. Not close enough for the beatdown. And 2 tagged up to get there. And we see what is actually Amelia Strays taking the first round.
Well, the silver lining for Mavericks is they did get that second to last tick. So if this does go to OT, you want all the progression you could possibly get in this round. And they were able to find it, just not able to find the kills necessary. It came down to a 1v2. It's going to be very difficult with no idea where Amelia Strays were on the outside of the plane. And now we sit with a 1-0 round count as Amelia Strays are up 2-0 in the series. You guys know the deal. It's been an interesting one, and they have come out very quick off of their Game 5 win in the previous matchup. But for Mavericks, you have to slow the pace down. It has gone by very quickly, and that S&D was about as fast as you could ask for if you're Amelia Strays.
That's right. Amelia Strays is looking to get in there and get out, coming off of that grueling Game 5 against against one of the best teams in the region. Facing off against Mavericks, who seems to be ready to roll over at this point as we get into the control. They're making good progress to close it out here early. However, still early in the game, as Mavericks certainly has a fighting chance to stay in this one. But you see the players that have been making it so difficult for them inside of Mavericks this game are actually being kept under control. Watson currently sitting at only 6 and 7. However, it is going to be Chaxter who's approaching 20 kills in the lobby before most players in Strays get 10.
Well, it seems like each time we hop on with Watson, he's able to find a kill or 2, and now you look at the life differential, 24-22. Not a whole lot, but man, it can fall down rapidly as Chaxter sub in hand, able to clean up the problems, and the nades fly out. 56 seconds to go. A couple will contest onto the point. A has been pretty much up to no one, but will that change in the following couple of moments to move up to the yellow crate, and Super wins 2 big gunfights and 2 headshots to go with it, and that might shut down the offense for the moment as Amelia Strays have found nothing on that A side, and they have yet to work on that second tick.
Yes, and of course, Team Mavericks playing on the defense. Our red arrows at the moment are still looking to maintain control of the B point, as it looks like Chaxter for the offensive team charges straight through and finds a number of kills. He doesn't play his life, and as soon as they come up off spawn, they're able to take him down. He wasn't even able to contribute to some support on the A site. None of that because he went back out and was caught for it. So we'll have to see what the defense looks like on here. Super clearing it out just fine with his pistol and support from middle map. That's a stellar way to come together to end that tick progress that was being mounted onto point A. Just 12 seconds remain on this clock space. It's down to the last minute.
Well, pistols are good. Teammate support is better. You got 10 seconds is damn right, and now it's just about collapsing and finding the kills. Welcome to the game. Watson able to find 1, can't find the second. 11-9. Amelia Strays with the life lead. Piero's getting very dangerous on this initial contest. Here comes a couple of challenges, and with 3 seconds to go, I don't think they're going to be able to get on. Finally, they do. Nuke gets cut down. Eric Boone with a great challenge and a great win, and Mavericks will pick up a very big round win there.
That they do, and I mean, we saw a lot of that was off the back of their control over middle map. Even players from Amelia Strays that were able to stay alive in the plane ended up being taken out shortly after a multi-kill, and then they would just get right back onto their defensive positioning with the man advantage. And we often see how easy it is to kind of come back from a mistake when you're on defense and control, right? You're supposed to have that stellar positioning to maintain a defensive setup. So coming into this next round, tied up 1-1, we see Amelia Strays looking to stay in this game, but Mavericks are not making it easy for them.
Well, you got Eric Boom at 15 and 12 on a 3 spree of his own. Chaxter 17 and 13 leading the way for Amelia Strays. And this is going to be a back-and-forth bout. We absolutely understand the situation for Mavericks. Just one game at a time, one round at a time. But what a start it has been for Amelia Strays. And the opening couple of kills will fall for both teams. Looking about dead even in the life count and playing control for Super. So you're looking at Mavericks to hold on to this position for as long as they can to make the rest of the map open up that much easier. And they're finding every single necessary gunfight win that makes this initial cap so much more easy. And it's just working out.
Red team making it work so far. 3 straight, 5 if you include last round coming from Yakko, and that kind of contribution is what's going to make them the progress, is what is going to make the progress that they need towards this third tick. With well over a minute on the clock, they now come into point B with an addition made to their time. Chaxter on the defense looking to drop some water on that fire, but still an awesome start from them for sure, and you have to thank Yakko for it.
You absolutely do. Minute 59, A is completely captured. We put him another minute on the clock. Hero fight for his life. Nice little bonk there for the double kill. Continuing to go on a rampage, looking just to challenge everything coming off spawn. Nuke is overextended. He's to the back. He's been able to find a couple. Can't clean up Super. So Mavericks might be able to hold on that first initial push. The aggression gets cut down. They are successful with getting some map control back in their favor, but 15 to 19, they also have the life count there. The streaks are in. Yakko can't find anything. Might be able to find a couple towards Tetris, but everything else is about dead even. And so far, it looks like it's going to be another successful round here for Mavericks.
Yeah, Mavericks are sitting pretty. They're looking really good. The score streaks are huge to support them. We'll have to see what they can make of it in the gracious amount of time that they've granted themselves. 1 minute and 40 still left on the clock. So third tick progress is coming through. We're going to need to see an answer here soon from the defensive team. One well-placed Semtex will do it as Piero is able to take one down. However, they're going to fill in that gap. Chaxter and Watson looking to close it just like that. Nuke, who has had a very, very low kill contribution every map in this series so far, is still the player we got to watch for this defensive setup. With the Krieg in hand, look to see him be a difference maker around the wings of the plane.
They're able to decap that last extra tick. You got 1:15. There's plenty of time, but you only got 8 lives on both sides of the kill. And now the trades come through. 1 extra for Mavericks. Another will fall thanks to Nuke. Dead even, 7 to 7. You get 1 full team hit onto the point. You only need 1 bit of progression, but you got to take Nuke out of position. They're able to do it. Super works through the back of the plane. Numbers are going to bunch up on top of him, so the cavalry is pushing through. And here comes the sub pressure. They win the first gunfight, and Chaxter needed to win that positioning. He doesn't. And here comes the collapse through mid. He's invading his time, able to pick up Yakko. Not going to overextend, but gets cut down in the process. 4v3.
And they're trying to play it out here. Nuke cannot get back into a commanding position on middle map. 4 versus 2 situation as Mavericks, the Amelia Strays roster are down to their last 2 lives. It's all on Piero and a 1 versus 2. Tossing the Semtex, swatted out of the sky by the trophy system. Crouch walking, waiting for someone to expose themselves too quickly as they move across that gap. They're able to stay alive, and he's just desperate for a kill. He can't find it. He's taken down, and we see what is actually Mavericks putting up another round 1 on the board.
And they're so consistent and so poised when it comes down to those team hits through the plane. I mean, what a big win onto Chaxter to be able to open up the site. And from there, maybe Nuke able to find a couple, but he got cut down. At this point, it was 7 to 7. Came down to the team hit. And no matter what Watson did at the bottom of the plane, he was not able to overextend in time to be able to cut them down from the back. And that is just good recognition for Mavericks to understand the situation, play through the plane, keep the pressure on the outsides, control what you can, work through the chaos. At this moment, Mavericks are 1 round away from sending us to another hard point. But for Amelia Strays, you need more from Sukri. 14 and 21. You need to start contributing a little bit better.
That you do, because Nuke wasn't that far away from him, or was pretty far away from him in the kill column up until the last minute. Once we start to see the players on white all click, I think that we could see them close out the series here. But as it stands, Mavericks, the guys in red, they're holding it down. They got a player in point already. They're certainly putting up a great fight. They're up by 1 kill so far and looking to pour it on as they maintain control of plane. Super so far going unanswered alongside Sucre, and we'll have to see what Amelia Strays does with it, as he's not going anywhere.
Continuing to turtle up right now. If you are Mavericks at the bottom side of the plane, Sucre is going to escape with his life, just barely though. They have a life lead, and that'll help as well. As Eric Boom will regain control of the top of the cabin. Now plane possession here for Mavericks, excuse me, is Sucre again on your screen. They know where Amelia Strays are spawning. And if they can lock down those back kills in NASA, I mean, you're looking at a very, very quick round. Just take a look at the timer, 24 seconds and counting. What a phenomenal hold and a phenomenal round from Mavericks, not allowing Amelia Strays to move anywhere up mid-map.
Oh yeah, it's just a stellar hold, and we're seeing the rewards that they've been able to reap from it raining down from the sky now as Yako begins to call in some score streaks. The team has just been able to hold down plane so well that Mavericks, they're constantly fighting these difficult battles where they're at a disadvantage from the start. I mean, look at this. Yako's just able to rain down shots from bottom plane as they're all spawning up in the corner box there, and they're not able to get to the objective. And we see that Mavericks are able to put a round win.
I think Amelia Strays might have touched the point once in that final round. I think maybe once. Everything else, they barely got out of spawn. I mean, Yako's so far pushed up onto the plane. It was just well-executed defensive hold right up through mid. And that is something they had been practicing for a couple of minutes now. They had been pushing up in those late parts of the rounds, trying to get plane control, establish a rhythm together as a unit in the plane. And every time they did it, they were successful. And it all came to a head in that final round. They take the control to, 3-1, and they will go to another map. We'll see them down 2-1 in the series. We'll go to another hard point. We will go to a map 4. And at this point, it's a little sigh of relief, a little breath for Mavericks, for Amelia Strays, kind of recollect yourself. But this series is not done, Fox. And I think that was a big statement in that final part of the control, just showing that they can execute a team strat consistently round after round, and they can pull it off in the best way in the end.
That they could, and they shut down any sort of windows of opportunity that we saw coming from the side of Amelia Strays. When they would come out on top in those kills in certain team fights and have control of the plane, they would quickly answer back to that player that's still alive inside the doors of the cabin, right? And I think that's going to be huge for the success moving forward on a map like Checkmate, where that's so important. As we get into this map number 4, though, I really do wonder if we just see Amelia Strays kind of, recollect, and get back into this map and find their final win to close out the series.
Yeah, I bring it up again, and we've said it. I've said it 1,000 times before, but staying on the same map. Now we go to Hardpoint. I wonder, what does Eric Boom bring out? Will he continue to run a sub? Will we see a 3-sub setup? It seems like it's pretty unconventional, but we see it more in Europe than we do in North America. Going into Checkmate Hardpoint, usually a Krieg gets pulled out and back NASA, and that's where you're trying to cut down the front subs, and then you wait for a rotational fight where maybe you're lucky enough to escape down the middle of the map. But here's a layout of how the series has looked so far. Amelia Strays with a very, very impressive win in that first Hardpoint. Then they go to S&D, and they do the same thing. They just smoke Mavericks off the map. Mavericks says, you know what, we're going to start playing together more. They make it work. They win the control 3-1. We go to Checkmate Hardpoint. We might have Raid S&D coming up right after it. But for Mavericks, the team play has been working out. What's the key factor for you going into this matchup, Fox, going into this game 4? Who you taking, and who do you think needs to step up?
I think I'm going to give this one to Amelia Strays. I think that we're going to see them finally get a grip onto how Maverick was really just walking and dancing all around them on Checkmate. I think that we see them bounce back and in Hardpoint come together as a much more cohesive and competent team to close out the series. Now, because of what we've seen from the explosive performance from players on Mavericks, I do think it's going to be a challenge, just like we've seen the last 2 maps. I certainly think that they have the confidence to do it and remain competitive. But in the end, I still see Amelia Strays taking this series. I don't even think we're going to get to Raid. Even in that entire control, there were notes of the woes that
Amelia Strays were experiencing in the hard point, where they were losing sometimes they were losing mid-map control and they would be on rotation, but they would lose the initial hold. They flipped that in the final couple of hills, but there were moments where they struggled to hold down mid-map. Same thing there in that control. They struggled to hold down mid-map, and once they got it broken and once they got pushed out to spawn, they couldn't win kills to get them back in a position to stay in the game. Something I'm going to keep my eye on Checkmate. The same strat that Mavericks just pulled off. Will we see them go back and say, we need plane control for the majority of this game? Because once Amelia Strays gets pushed back into spawn, they have not looked super impressive when it comes to holding down a position and reaffirming their status on the field. And now we just wait for everyone to get situated. And Fox, I got to tell you, this was a hot start for Amelia Strays. I don't think many expected them to come out and not only win a game 5, but immediately go into a next series against Mavericks, who came off a win against 3G. And Amelia Strays went up 2-0. It was a big hardpoint win. It was a dominant S&D win. This team is starting to turn a couple of heads.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. What an introduction, right? We're in the first chapter of their story here in Season 3 for the Call of Duty Challenger series. And, I mean, that was a really climactic way to open things up so far. It's not over just yet. We are still in their second series, just waiting for these guys to get ready and get settled into the lobby for game number 4 as Amelia Strays look close it out in a 2-1 setting. But I think that what we've seen is a really exciting matchup so far, and I'm looking forward to see what else the story has to show for us.
I'm excited, man. Checkmate is chaos and personified. If you ever talk about a map that is absolutely bonkers, balls to the wall, that is this. This is that. I am excited. Welcome. It is going to possibly be the final map of the series, or will we go to a game 5 on Raid S&D? Amelia Strays have looked pretty dominant, but there are some questions about their presence at mid-map, or I should say lack thereof. For Mavericks, same situation. How do they play through the middle of the plane, and what do they elect to do? And it looks like we're all on the right side of history. The names are correct, so we get going for map 4.
Hopping right back into the action on map 4, we saw a lot of the gunfights, the key engagements unfolding on plane, and you can see with P1 starting dead center. That's where we're going to see a lot of the energy focused here in game 4 as well, as the initial time does go in favor of Amelia Strays. Of course, that's going to be our team in red this time. Piero finds himself up 2-0 at this point before being answered by the submachine gun players, pushing straight through, unanswered so far, to turn over the hard point and look to even things up a bit.
Now, if you've never seen Checkmate Hardpoint before, this first hill is usually pretty contested, pretty choppy. You're not going to get a huge chunk of time, but whatever you do get might set you up for P2, but the spawns are there and the hold is there. So Mavericks have already elected to give up those last 10 or so seconds, and they're sitting ready and waiting. They're going to give the call to Eric Boone to move to the blade and pick up roamers on the outside. He does his job to perfection, and that means that you have numbers ready for the pop-up onto P2. We go to the new hill, and Sukri gets cut down in the back, but map positioning is here for Amelia Strays. They just can't get towards the hill.
They're making their way there. One coming through crates, just pushing straight through without any support. He's got some help in the back line, though, actually, so this crossfire could be huge for them. They're able to clear out the hard point, but get traded themselves, and take a look at those white arrows and how close this one to the objective. That war of attrition will be won by the side of Mavericks as Amelia Strays continues to pour in from crates. Long-range pistol shots go down. He's got the support to keep at it before being taken down. As the Amelia Strays players come through, and they're able to answer with a double kill. Kill time still going in favor of Mavericks before they break through to try and get the scrap time. Another lead change coming up here, Space.
Yeah, this is about as standard as you're going to see the start of a Hardpoint Checkmate go. You had Amelia Strays getting the early time on P1. The rotation for Mavericks, they understand where spawns need to be, and they get the late hold in the early time. So they bring themselves back in this game about standard for both teams and about even across the board, but the lead will be there for Amelia Strays. And now we look at the positioning under the wing for P3, as Yako is at the top of the wing. He's able to pick up one, drops down, numbers are here, and he gets the call out to move up, but he gets cut down. So the trades funnel through for Amelia Strays, but Eric Boom responds with a pistol, and it means that he has early time, but more importantly, plane control for Mavericks, something they had been working diligently towards in the control, and so far it's working out for them.
Yeah, they're comfortable here. This is certainly a spot they want to be in, is anywhere around this planned objective. But we see Amelia Strays, they're keeping up the pressure, answering right back. Yet another lead change. They pull away by just a few seconds. Fight's not over just yet. Sukri still alive and in the mix bottom plane. He's weaving in between the engines and fans. But of course, he's going to be finished up as the communication continues through the headphones of Amelia Strays, and in the end, they do get the scrap time and come out on top with a lead. Rotating to the new hard point, they also get the new hill time. Someone has to answer Yakko, though, as once again, they're able to, Mavericks are able to maintain control of the plane.
Well, Amelia Strays got the call, and yep, they're going to set up before we move through. We sit at the side of shipping, and they've been uncontested. One inside the hill, it's Piero, who eventually moves out, and the teammates will come in and fill his position. Sukri picks up 2 kills, and now they collapse the Mavericks. They try to get their first real hit on this hard point. And it looks like it might be successful, but cut down from the back. Yakko finding kills off spawn, able to roam through the opposite side, and the numbers are there, so they flip the map, and Mavericks will have this hold and the essential rotation for P5, but we still fight over a couple of seconds, 15 or so to go, before we need to look at the bottom side of your mini map for the rotation Tetris, and Mavericks are in a good position to be able to move through if they pick up these kills.
We're seeing just a few seconds left on this hard point here. Lead still in favor of Amelia Strays as they pull further and further ahead in this game. Lots of contribution coming out of the likes of Sukri once again in this map. We've seen a lot of him as he approaches 20 kills in this game. Submachine gun, the Krieg, the AR in his hands, definitely having a presence this map. The initial time going to Mavericks as they look to even things up and light it up in the kill feed. 3 straight. Nuke is the only one in a spot to find a kill, but he's quickly answered too. Hill time and map positioning easily in favor of Mavericks as the side of Amelia Strays spawn out so far, and that lead is dwindling as Mavericks start to pull towards a competitive match again.
You know, you look at P2 and P5 here with being the money hills on this map. I think the most money we've seen is maybe 30 seconds. It's been a very slow game number 4. Very contested, very close, and about dead even, but still a 10-point lead will be there for Mavericks, but the kills start to fall back in the way of Amelia Strays. They clear off everyone from the point. We go back to our second set of rotations, back into the top cabin, and Piero is leading the charge as numbers flow through. Your front sub is inside. I believe it's Eric Movement will be. Be careful. Don't get shot in the back, and Piero continuing to move up, but Chaxter will be the man on your screen looking to find one. Can't find anything. Numbers continue to fall. A big 1v1, and it's won by Mavericks, and that means they're going to have the early time in the cabin.
Mavericks making it work. We're seeing their magic unfold, but Watson constantly coming through to disrupt it. He finds a big kill and keeps his life up, but Eric Boom comes up for the trade and finds a double kill. We're seeing a stick as Chaxter responds with one of his own. This back and forth battle, you see them constantly at odds against each other as we're inside playing here. In last map, it was constantly going in favor of Mavericks. Here, it's just a slugfest as they're trading blows.
It seems like the biggest chunk of times have come off that P5 and currently here on P1. Now we look at the minimap, who's set up where and where are Mavericks going to be. Well, they have the back spawns and they know they have to rotate and get up early for NASA. But on the opposite end, Amelia Strays understand they lost that rotation last time, so they're getting the early call and they're just going to rotate. They want to win these key gunfights, sure, but they want the time even more. Watson has no business winning that gunfight, but does it respectively. Only one in the back is Super. He has to be able to find one, but the numbers collapse so quickly, and Amelia Strays have done all of the dirty work and then some to be able to get themselves in a good position for P2.
Amelia, they got to be feeling good. They shut out Eric Boone, who was probably the final thorn in their side to worry about here. And now they just have to fight a 4 versus 3 engagement where they have the spawns, they have the defensive setup, but they're not watching their flank. Look at Super coming through to mess things up once again. If they die, they're going to spawn out. They're not going to get this hill time. Just under 30 seconds remain. They want to get as much as they can before they're forced off of it. And you can see Nuke has that 25 kills. He has that at the forefront of his mind before being outnumbered. So Mavericks, they should get the scrap time here, but again, the rotation does go in favor of the winning team, Amelia Strays.
And you give him this lead, Fox, and at this point, you're more than happy to give up the last 10 or so seconds, as long as it means you set up under the plane and you get your subs in a position to do some damage. Nuke has to win a gunfight, and they shut down the pinch from the back. Here comes a couple of members to funnel on through, but Mavericks will have numbers here. The trades will be back and forth for both teams before finally 2 red in the kill feed. 180 and counting, 46 seconds to go. Chaxter gets cut down from the back, and Sukri wins the gunfight. Shots ring out. Plane control here for Mavericks as well, and this is actually a pretty good position for them to be in, but Watson gets cut down, and now you look at the collapse coming in from Amelia Strays.
Drop 30 on him, Nuke. Drop 30 on him. You got the time to do it. 20 seconds away from that 200-point mark as Amelia Strays sets foot in the objective once again. We see Mavericks are pretty far away from it as they're hovering towards the crates. They still find all the kills they need in the kill column to clear out the objective regardless. So we'll have to see what they do with this newfound map positioning. It seems that the pressure from Amelia Strays was able to follow up on it much faster than Mavericks was able to capitalize on it. Last bit of scrap time does go to the team in white, but Amelia Strays still sits with a comfortable lead at 40 seconds. The initial hill time, though, is what they need to worry about. Mavericks were already set up for this position. Mavericks are already finding kills in this position. And Amelia Strays, they continue to spawn so far out, and a lot of this time is just going uncontested and unanswered.
Well, how do you reconstitute a hold at G4 when you've been broken through the middle of the map and Maverick's been picking you apart on the hill? I mean, you got 195 and counting, so Amelia Strays just say, we're going to bull rush the front, and if you can't win the fights with your subs, good luck. Everything else just falls by the wayside. 204 possibly in counting. Eric Boom doesn't have a chance to win that gunfight, and with 24 seconds, they're not going to win it here, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to another hill, so you're looking at possibly 2, maybe 3 more full team hits in the backline to be able to lock down spawns for Mavericks. Everything else will just come as it may, and the nature of this game has been scrappy at all times, but P5 can be a money one. Sucre able to pick up 2 kills, and the late rotation is there for Mavericks. They're set up early though, and that means they might have a chance to bring themselves back in this game.
Scrap time to Amelia Strays, the winning team. Mavericks, though, does get the initial hill time. They have an idea as to where Amelia Strays will be coming from, and they still don't come out on top with kills. 2 kills straight for Amelia Strays so far, unanswered. 4 just alone in the hands of Piero as they're rotating to the new hardpoint. And with 20 seconds separating them from this victory, you need to put that fire out. These little fires everywhere certainly build up, and Yako looking to add to the carnage with his score streaks raining down on the objective. Now, taking that player out of the objective is huge, but they still have that trip to make, and they still have to get through Piero, who is finally taken down off of his 5 streak. Nuke has broken 30 kills. They cleared them out, and Mavericks, it wasn't clean, it wasn't easy, and there's only 20 seconds left, but they did clear out the objective.
Yeah, they did their job. The only problem is you got 8 seconds, and that is your margin of error. That's all you can give up. Now it's just a fight at the top of the cabin. Which sub's going to win what? Piero going to stay alive. A couple fall on the outside of the plane. Sucre on the very back steps going to try to pepper shot through the wood. But he might get caught. And Piero got to finish that gunfight. We continue to sit in a contested hill. 244 to 193. Piero going to continue to throw shots down at range. Super not even going to peek that. Here comes the challenge. Jack's able to find one. Slides in. Oh, he almost finds Super, but Super stays alive. And Yako and numbers for Mavericks are here. And Yako's able to clean up both. 244 to 197. They can't win it here. Amelia Strays can. They're just going to set up for a P2. This is the call, and that's what they're going to play.
Space. Mavericks is not losing gunfights in the cabin. If you come up with an AK-74, you're getting shut down in this map. Only 6 seconds separate Amelia Strays from victory, though, so they're going to have to keep up that same toughness as they're on the closing moments of this hard point. We're seeing the tensions rise. Super trying to make a play here, and it's unfolding as we speak as he sets up for the flank. He might get caught out in the last few moments of it, and as you see it unfold just like that, with 2 seconds remaining on the clock. Amelia Strays are set up for the initial time and look to close it out here. How does Mavericks answer back? 2 seconds remaining. They have to get in there and contest it. Too far away is Chaxter as Amelia Strays puts it away. A 3-1 series victory.
Yeah, you can't answer back, Fox, when you can't even get past mid-map. I mean, Watson just cut down everyone in the top of the plane and the opposite spawn, looking all the way towards shipping. Every single person that challenged that front hill was immediately getting taken off the play, and Nuke was such a factor in this game. No business winning the gunfight against Super. But man, what a response at the end. It looked like cabin control was going to be there for the entirety of Mavericks, and it certainly was. But at that point, the game was so far out of reach. You have to find a way to win early rotations, to flip spawns, and you even saw Amelia Strays do it. They said, okay, you got 30 seconds in cabin. We're not going to fight this. We're just going to sit on NASA and just wait for the hill. And that's what they did. They just waited. They waited 30 seconds. They got the hill. Game over. Done.
The courage to leave that hill, Ali. I know from the side you were watching that and wondering what was going to unfold. Were we going to see another Obtained esports style comeback in Hardpoint that we've seen already this afternoon, or are they going to close it out? In the end, though, as we saw, Amelia Strays was able to hold it down. But what stood out to you about that series?
For just that hard point right off the bat, I was stressed. I was sweating when they decided to just go for P2 and leave Cabin alone. I was like, please at least send like one player to just touch the time for a second. Like that was very nerve-wracking. And then it looked like almost 3 players were about to contest it. I was a wreck over here. But Amelia, I am 2-2 for predictions, not to toot my own horn, accidentally 2-2 in predictions. But Amelia, I mean, I wanted to say, you know, maybe they were just a new team falling into place, but then I forgot, you know, they played Orglis, the best team. And now watching them play against this team, it didn't feel like, I mean, Watson, of course, was consistent in doing what he did in the earlier series, but his other teammates, I mean, Chaxter was just annoying on the map, and we saw Piero come out in the respawns. Nuke was a little slow in the series, but in that final hardpoint really stepped it up and kind of made up for it to close it out. So, I mean, across the board, I feel like once they fall into place a little bit better, this is a scary team.
Absolutely. I am very much looking forward to watching their progression throughout the rest of this Challengers League series. But here's the schedule for tonight, because we have concluded our run through Europe. That is it. It was Obtained beating War 3-2. Amelia Strays take down Mavericks 3-1. Upset City, many would say. And coming up next will be North America after an extenuated break. It's Easter versus Built by Gamers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus UT Crew. But here is a little bit of an update about the matches that were happening off stream. Team War was playing Orglis. Orglis took the first hardpoint, lost the S&D, then won everything else outright. They take the series 3-1. And after that, well, basically things were back to normal. Push Gaming took the first hardpoint against Team 3G. 3G closed out everything else. They win the series 3-1, and Elevate 3-0'd their way through Obtained. So Obtained come in, they take down Team War. Orglis has a tough loss against Amelia Strays, and then Elevate take down Obtained. Amelia Strays keep bouncing back. Orglis takes down Team War. It seems like it's a rough start, a good finish. A rough start, good finish for every team we've seen so far today. I mean, Orglis is back on the winning train. You look at Elevate winning 3 over Obtained, who were impressive in their Game 5 win earlier. What do you think this season's going to be like, man? This is week 1. Allie, do you think we're going to be seeing chaos across the board?
Oh, chaos across the board. The only team that I expect to be winning in consistent 3-0 fashions is Elevate. And of course, I would usually add Orglis to that conversation as well. But after seeing what Amelia did to them, I'm going to take them out of that conversation for now. So definitely chaos across the board. The only team I expect to kind of be shut out, so it's Elevate. And that's exciting. It's exciting to always have high contenders in the EU region.
And that's Fox, right. Final question before we kind of close this out. Putting stock in Amelia Strays, yay or nay?
Oh, you have to. You have to. When a new team comes out of the gates like that and takes down your champions, you have to pay attention to what else they're going to be doing. Shout out to Amelia Slays.
Fox, I knew I liked you.
He said,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just happy to see New Guns finally turn some heads and find some success. But that's gonna do it for us here on this first start of the stream for Europe. That is the end of day 1 of week 1. We will see them again tomorrow. But coming up after the break, North America gets their time to shine, and the roster mania that ensued from North America over the last 2 or 3 weeks was absolute chaos. I can't wait to see these squads go at it. But until then, we will see you guys after the break, and when we come back, North America is going to close out the night.